Hello, people. Welcome back to the OCM Botcast. I am your host, Chad Marco, and as you can see, today's episode is called Escape from the Hood. So the concept of today's main topic is I want to talk about why anyone who lives in any area that could be considered the hood, the ghetto, the projects, why your number one priority should be to leave. That is what we are going to talk about today. And because it ties into the first news topic that I'm going to cover, which is pertaining to the death of Young Dolph, a rapper from, I believe he's from Memphis, Tennessee. And he's yet another rapper who was killed in his own home city, his own town. We all know that famous Lil Bootsy Vlad TV interview where he talks about how most rappers die in their own city and why he left Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and lives in Atlanta, and it's it is when you go down the list of rappers who were killed in their own city. I mean, it's the evidence speaks for itself, but unfortunately, Young Dolph, he was someone who wanted to make an effort to stay connected to his hometown and do good things, and it ended up costing him his life. But so my main topic today is going to be pertaining why I believe that anyone, whether you're a rapper or not, but especially if you're a rapper, why anyone should main goal should be to get out of these areas as quickly as you can. But before we get into all that, as you guys know, I gotta give my Buddha quotes of the day. Hold up. Oh goddamn! I gotta put a bookmark in here so I don't get lost. So today's quote from the Buddha says, "Standing or walking, sitting or lying down, during all these waking hours, let him establish mindfulness of good will, which men call the highest state." My interpretation of this, it seems like he's saying that no matter what you're doing, stay mindful. Let him establish mindfulness of goodwill. Mindfulness of goodwill. So no matter what you're doing, stay aware, stay mindful of the right things that you should be doing. I think that's pretty damn wise. I've been kind of thinking about something similar, because sometimes I get distracted. I tend to overthink things, and to sort of reel myself back in, I've been practicing this new technique. Well, it's not really a technique, but just something new where if I catch myself kind of drifting off mentally, I'll take a deep breath and kind of just to bring myself back to my inner core of values and goals so that I can recenter myself and kind of reestablish mental stability, because my mind just tends to wander and I overthink things, and sometimes I venture too far off into the future to the point where I'm not really enjoying the now. So I've been practicing like kind of just staying more in the moment. I take a deep breath and then I try to bring myself back to who I am at my core. And that's been helping somewhat, but that's kind of what it makes me think of, is just no matter what you're doing, try to always stay in tune with and aware of the right thing that you should be doing in that moment. Or maybe I'm completely wrong and he'll say, "You fool, you foolish swine." He wouldn't say that. Hold up. Put the book up. Thanks, Buddha. So without further ado, let's get right into. Hold up, I'm gonna turn my heater down a little bit. It's kind of hot. I don't want to have to take my damn. Wait, should I turn the whole thing on? Nah, it'd be all right. I'm sorry about that. So without further ado, let's get right into the news. So, and excuse me if the mic is rumbling a bit. It's connected to the table. That's connected to the, it's the whole thing. Okay. All right. So the first piece of news is about the murder of rapper Young Dolph. Now, before I get into it, I just want to talk about my understanding of, or what's the right word? My level of interest in Young Dolph, which quite honestly wasn't very high. I knew of him. One of my friends was the one who introduced me to him, because this was around the time when his bulletproof SUV got shot up, and I think it was in North Carolina, which is where I'm from. His bulletproof SUV got shot up, and it got shot 100 times. And of course it was bulletproof, so no one who was inside died. And so he took that event and turned it into a whole mixtape. I think either a whole mixtape or a song. I think it was a whole mixtape though, and it was called 100 Shots. And then like each title of each song was basically mocking the people that tried to attempt to take his life, but failed miserably, because again, it was a bulletproof SUV. And that's when I found out about him. And we were sitting in his car smoking weed, listening to Young Dolph, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But to be honest, when I first heard him, I wasn't really blown away. He to me, he sound kind of just like definitely a good rapper, good production, good beats, but it was just kind of more of the same of, just more trap, shooting niggas type rap. And but I wasn't like blown away, but it was, this is some solid trap shit, right? That's how I felt about it. But I was never a big fan of his. I do have a song or two of his on my music playlist, but that's about as far as my interest in him has gone. Just kind of paying attention to the whole drama between him and the other artists that he has beef with. Again, his SUV was shot at 100 times, and he got shot literally in the arm and the stomach in LA, but he survived. But this third attempt on his life, he did not survive. So let's get right into that. So this comes from his Wikipedia page, just to kind of give you an idea of who he is if you do not know, if you don't know. So Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., born July 27, 1985, died November 17, 2021. Better known by his stage name Young Dolph, was an American rapper. In 2016, he released his debut studio album, King of Memphis, which peaked at number 49 on the Billboard 200 chart. He was featured on OT Genesis' hit single Cut It, which peaked at number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100. Young Dolph's seventh album, Rich Slave, was released in 2020 and became his highest charting project, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200 on November 17, 2021. He was shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee. So let's get more into the details of his murder. So I got this from Fox 13 Memphis. Okay, so it says Memphis rapper Young Dolph, whose real name is Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., was shot and killed in Memphis on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. Maurice Hill, the owner of the shop where the shooting happened, Makita's Butter Cookies, told Fox 13 his employees said Young Dolph, 36, walked into the store to buy cookies. Someone then drove up and shot and killed him at the South Memphis Bakery. So he came back to his city, his hometown, to go buy some cookies, and then someone pulled up on him and shot and killed him. Police called the shooting senseless and said, "Our hearts go out to the Thornton family and all who were affected by this horrific act of violence." The release closed by saying officers are committed to working to curb these types of incidents. Immediately after the shooting, hundreds of people flocked to the area as headlines broke across the world. Tensions flared and raw emotion spilled over. People laid on the ground crying. Some onlookers called for an end to gun violence and peace. Others cursed and expressed anger at the loss of the Memphis icon. Chaos broke out at times. A car with a man inside, apparently shot, drove into the crime scene. That man was taken away on a stretcher by paramedics. For hours, police worked to push the crowd back from the scene while trying to make sense of the tragic death. Airways Boulevard, a major street in Memphis, was shut down during the course of the investigation. The day after Young Dolph was gunned down inside of the bakery, a memorial popped up outside as fans paid tribute to the rapper. Stuffed animals, balloons, flowers, candles, and a dolphin sign hung around the cookie shop Thursday afternoon. Fox 13 spoke to people from as far away as Michigan who came to pay respects to the rapper. Around 3:30 p.m., a man was shot near the memorial, police said. That's just fucked up, dude. Be American, get shot. Wins again. Well, I think I went backwards. Okay. And so here's just some more details here. Memphis police found a car driven by the suspects in Young Dolph's shooting on Saturday, November 20th in the 1100 block Bradley in Orange Mound. Covington police also confirmed the same white Mercedes was used in a double shooting that left one woman dead in Covington. So it seems like the car that was used as the getaway vehicle was used in another shooting as well. Police said the shooting took place in the area of St. College, St. and W Church Aviate on November 12th around 9:20 p.m. I couldn't pronounce some of these. Okay, so, and this news article was kind of whack, to be honest, but there are a lot more details, and I'm not going to go crazy on this. I'm not going to go too into it because we're going to get more into the idea or the reasoning why people need to avoid these areas as much as possible, especially if you're successful. I'm going to talk about that in depth during the main topic, but there's a bit more to this that has to be addressed. And really, I think the best breakdown that I saw of this situation was by a YouTuber named Soldier the Game Spitter. Check him out because he always does great breakdowns on these street rappers and the foolishness that they get caught up in, the deaths and the shootings and the robberies and the Instagram thought drama, whatever, right? He always does a good job of breaking that down. But it's worth noting that when he got killed, he was riding around in one of his fancy cars. I forgot the exact model, but it was a very expensive looking car. You know the type. And what made it stand out was that it had army camouflage paint. It was a dope, expensive, fancy car with a army, like that green army camouflage paint job. So it stood out immensely. And so part of what would have made it easy for them to track him down was the fact that his car was so noticeable. And so they might have been following him, and then when they seen him go into the cookie shop, they probably felt like, okay, this is our opportunity. Let's hop out. Let's shoot him up. Let's get out. And they released some photos that showed the two people who had shot him, but of course they were matched up. They had on generic jogging pants and hoodies, so you couldn't really identify them. Just obviously just two black dudes, but you couldn't really tell who. And yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I think at some point people, and especially rappers, are gonna have to take heed of what Lil Boosie said in that interview. And the fact is, most rappers die in their own city. You have got to leave. You cannot, once you cannot you cannot be a successful rapper, especially like a street rapper who had a street background, like real street beefs, been in street situations, known for street shit. You cannot do that because you are going to attract them wolves more than anyone else when you come around, bro. And that's why so many of these rappers die in their own city, because a lot of them have these street ties, and then when they go back home, you know, they don't see you as being someone that's special. They don't see you as being a celebrity. They know you, and to them it's like, well, who this motherfucker? You know, and the jealousy and the envy and all that. It's just, it's simply not wise. And for him, and even though he came back for good reason, you know, I think he was doing a turkey drive, and you know, he was trying to give back to the community. I'm sure looking like if he had the opportunity to do things differently, I mean, of course he would never came back, you know, because as good as his intentions were, it certainly wasn't worth his life. And I think that it's sad that it had to happen like this, but it's another example of why rappers have to heed that message. You have to leave your city. You have to go. It's so many rappers who died in their own damn city, man. Big L, Stack Bundles, lot of. I mean, just it's. I'm sure I'm gonna make a list one day. I know it's long as fuck. It's just a few that stand out on the top of my head, but it's so many who died in their own city just like this, and But again, I don't want to go too far into it, because that's really more for the main time. Like, I'm gonna really scientifically break down, because I see a lot of content creators are responding to this the same way, and they're just saying, all right, leave the hood, leave the hood, leave the hood. No, I am going to let you know. I'm going to break down to you why it is a dummy mission to try to come back to the hood and give back and do this and that, because you're not even putting a dent in what the actual problem is. You will never turn these situations around. You will never turn these environments towards a better direction unless you get to the root cause of what causing all this. And all the turkey drives and toy giveaways, and it ain't gonna make no bit of a difference, because that's not what the issue is. But we're gonna get into that. You know, and I feel like before I move on, another thing that has to be addressed too, though, because it's unfortunate what happened to him, but I always try to look at things in terms of like, what could we do differently? Where did we go wrong? You know, where did this individual go wrong as far as dealing with these situations? And when I look at Young Dolph, I think one of the biggest mistakes that he made, not just going back to his hometown, going back to the city that he's from and where he has the most beef at, is that he played a major role in escalating this beef. You know, all the taunting and being arrogant and making these diss songs and basically sticking your middle finger up at everyone and adding fuel to the fire. I mean, of course, I understand you getting shot at, you're gonna be upset. You're a street dude. You gotta live up to that image. But when you do stuff like this, you're adding fuel to that fire. You're adding you're pouring straight gasoline on an already raging flame. And it's only a matter of time before that comes back and touches you. So it's only a matter of time. And I think that part has to be acknowledged. I think one thing that guys have to understand is that when possible, you have to try to separate yourself from beef and de-escalate things when you can. It ain't always just talking shit and dissing people, and because you make things worse when you do that. When you look at the rapper from Chicago, FBG Duck, he died soon after he dropped a song called Dead Bitches, when he was mocking the dead homies and dead friends of his enemies. And soon after that, he got shot and killed. And so what I'm saying is, I think guys have to really stop this habit of dissing, of talking shit about dead people, escalating beefs, starting beefs. Like the mindset should be to separate yourself from that. The goal should be to de-escalate these situations. You know, I look at, or just to stay like on the whole Chicago thing, right? When King Von got killed, he was in a beef, like a little internet beef with Quando Rondo. It spilled over into reality. He escalated towards physical violence, and he got shot and killed. Now, what if King Von, instead of doing that, would have DM Quando Rondo and said, "Yo, man, this some bullshit, man. Why the hell we doing this? You know, why we hating on each other? Why we talking shit, man? Go ahead and squash this shit, man. Let's do a song together." Boom, and he would very likely be alive today. And that's what I'm saying. Is like a lot of these beef situations that I see, it's like it's not worth the constant escalation that leads to death and more violence and more death and more violence. And I know sometimes your back is against the wall and you feel like you got to do something. But what I'm saying is, if there's any way possible to de-escalate things, try to do it. But you definitely don't want to escalate it unnecessarily. Like when you rich and you making hundreds and thousands and millions, like you made it, you won. you're the winner. You have no reason to address these people anymore. You have no reason to even think about them. You won. Take your money, take your family, go somewhere safe, work on your craft, enjoy your life, smoke some good weed, fuck some bad bitches. Like leave that once you cross that threshold where you have financial independence, especially if you can get like your family out too, that's the time to just let it all go. Like it's no point. Like you made it. But that's the main point that I want to get across, at least as far as like now. Like just but again, the main topic, I'm gonna really break down why not just rappers, but why everyone, that should be number one priority, to leave the hood. And this whole idea of saving the hood, giving back to the hood is I don't want to say it's dumb, but it's not going to work. And I'm going to break it down precisely why it is not going to work. So make sure you stay tuned. So the next piece of news that I'm going to cover is Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty of the Kenosha murders. The Kenosha riot murders. Okay, so let's get into some articles here. So it says Kyle Rittenhouse, the 18-year-old who fatally shot two people during the unrest last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin, has been acquitted of all charges in a criminal trial that divided the nation over questions about gun rights, violence at racial justice protests, and vigilantism. The verdict, delivered Friday, follows a highly watched trial in which prosecutors struggled to overcome Rittenhouse's claims that he acted in self-defense on the night of the shootings. He has a huge sense of relief for what the jury did to him today. He wishes none of this would have ever happened, but as he said when he testified, he did not start this, said Rittenhouse's defense attorney Mark Richards, speaking to reporters outside the courthouse. To say that we're relieved would be a gross misunderstatement. A gross misunderstatement. That's a word? I thought, wouldn't you just say understatement? That would be a gross understatement. Misunderstatement? That's a word, right? I'm a pretend it's a word for now till I look it up. In 2 weeks of testimony and evidence, led by a day-long turn on the stand by Rittenhouse himself, defense attorneys were able to convince the jury of 12 that the night of August 25th, 2020 was filled with deadly peril for the then 17-year-old. Jurors deliberated for roughly 27 hours over the course of 4 days before pronouncing Rittenhouse not guilty on all 5 counts. first degree intentional homicide, first degree reckless homicide, first degree attempted intentional homicide, and 2 counts of first degree reckless endangerment. The jury was also asked to consider lesser versions of several counts, but were not swayed. While we are disappointed with the verdict, it must be respected. We are grateful to the members of the jury for their diligent and thoughtful deliberations. That's a very respectful thing to say. Said the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office in a statement. We ask that members of our community continue to express their opinions and feelings about this verdict in a civil and peaceful manner. Prosecutors declined to give further comment. So, Rittenhouse armed himself with the AR-15 style rifle on a night of unrest in Kenosha sparked by the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man who was left paralyzed after an encounter with a white officer. Rittenhouse, who lived across the state line in Antioch, Illinois, testified that he intended to act as a medic and help protect private property. But the night spiraled out of control. In a series of chaotic encounters with protesters documented thoroughly by photographs and videos, Rittenhouse shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, and Anthony Huber, 26, and injured Gage Grosskreutz, then 26. During the trial, Rittenhouse said he feared for his life in all 3 cases. Rosenbaum, he said, had chased him and was grabbing for his rifle. Mr. Rosenbaum was chasing me. He said he was going to kill me if he got me alone. I was alone. I was running from him. I pointed it at him and it didn't stop him from continuing to chase me, Rittenhouse testified. Afterward, as he ran toward police, others, including Huber and how do you say that? Grosskreutz? That's an ugly name, bro. That's a gross should never be in anybody's name. Oh man, my name is Disgusting Bones. Whatever. Began to chase him. Huber struck him with a skateboard. Visual evidence confirms. Grosskreutz was holding a loaded Glock pistol, which he admitted during cross-examination was pointed at Rittenhouse, though he said that was unintentional. I ain't buying that. Prosecutors argued that Rittenhouse was responsible for creating those situations. He chose to bring a deadly rifle into a dangerous environment, they said, and chose to stay there even after being separated from a friend. Rosenbaum was unarmed, they pointed out, yet Rittenhouse shot him 4 times, all as Rosenbaum was falling to the ground. Grosskreutz testified that he feared for his own life given the presence of Rittenhouse's rifle and was trying to disarm Rittenhouse, not kill him. Asked on the witness stand what was going through his mind during their encounter, Grosskreutz replied that I was going to die. But prosecutors also made repeated missteps, prompting defense lawyers to request a mistrial on 2 occasions. The first over Assistant District Attorney Thomas Binger questioning Rittenhouse's right to remain silent, and a second over a drone video that prosecutors had inadvertently compressed when sharing it with defense lawyers. And legal experts said prosecutors relied too heavily on video evidence that was difficult to interpret and witnesses who offered testimony that at times seemed to bolster Rittenhouse's case. There's no surprise there. Okay, so it continues. Some might have had concerns about the decisions that brought Mr. Rittenhouse to Kenosha that evening and how he reacted. However, unless the state proves beyond a reasonable doubt that this wasn't reasonable and that he didn't believe that he needed to use deadly force to defend himself, then the only proper verdict is acquittal, said Chris Zakar, a criminal defense attorney based in La Crosse, Wisconsin, who was not involved in the trial. Rittenhouse could still be sued for damages in a civil trial where the burden of proof is lower than in criminal trials. In a statement, Huber's parents, Karen Bloom and John Huber, said that their son would have his day in court and that they were heartbroken and angry over the acquittal. Today's verdict means there is no accountability for the person who murdered our son. It sends the unacceptable message that armed civilians can show up in any town, incite violence, and then use the danger they have created to justify shooting people in the street, they said. Ooh, boy. That's a mouthful. Great article, though. Much better than that damn Dolph article. Come on, Fox. You can do better than that. I mean, I'm not even going to go there. So, I'm sure you guys remember that when the Kenosha riots were going on, I did a night walk vlog about it. I was going ham that night. And I also talked about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation to quite a bit during a news segment of a particular podcast from that time. And I also did the song F.A.A.F.O. Fuck Around and Find Out. Check it out on all streaming services, Spotify, iTunes. But so my thoughts on this is I think that the acquittal was the correct decision, the correct verdict rather. I think that no matter how you look at it, he did act in self-defense. And so I have no problem with the acquittal whatsoever. But I said this when it happened, and I still feel the same way. I've been seeing people kind of like that disagree or agree, because this is the point where people point that people point to say, well, he was in the wrong, and that's the whole idea that he shouldn't have been there. And I agree with that. I agree with that. And let me break down exactly why. If just in case nobody saw just in case you didn't see my original reaction to when this all went down at first. And what I said and what I've been saying is that it's not a coincidence that out of all the people who got into out of all the people that night who had guns, Cal was the one who ended up getting into this situation. And I think that a large part of the reason why he ended up in this situation was because he was not mature enough to put himself or to handle an event of this magnitude. He took it. Now don't get me wrong. When you look at the interviews with Kyle and he's explaining why he did it and this and that, look, you cannot help but recognize that that's a good kid. That is a true that is a true American patriot. Like that, he's a good kid, and he had the best of intentions. He was out there cleaning up graffiti, and it wasn't like he just popped up and posted up in front of this place to protect his property. Like he talked to the people who owned it, and they gave him the go ahead. Like, yeah, help protect my property, right? So he like, as far as all that he did, I mean, it's, God damn it, dude. It warms my heart. This kid is a true Boy Scout. But I truly believe that at the same time, he was not cut out to put himself in that position. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he was the only one who out of all those armed people who were out there marching around and trying to protect property and doing this and that, he was the one who got into this situation. And here's the problem with civilians acting as vigilantes. Cause don't get me wrong, bro. Like, I'm all for some fucking rebellion shit. Like becoming a vigilante when necessary. Like, I'm not saying like it's bad to ever act in such a manner, but there's a reason why it's frowned upon. And that is because civilians don't have the proper training and authority to prevent situations like this from happening. Because even though I forgot that dude's name already. Hold on, let me go back. Even though Mr. Rosenbaum, he was completely in the wrong. He was completely in the wrong. But the fact is, criminals have rights too. Whether we like it or not, criminals have rights too. And so this is why as police, excuse me, this is why as police officers, just for example, it would generally be frowned upon if, okay, you're a police officer and somebody's committing a crime. People don't want you to be able to just go up to him and blow his brains out, right? Even if that person gets physical with you and wants to fight and tussle, people will be upset if you just pull your gun out and just go straight for the gun and blow his brains out, right? But so how do you deal with that? You don't want police officers to be able to just instantly go for the gun. Like at the first sign of trouble, just go for the gun and blow your brains out. So what do we do to sort of balance things out to where they can defend themselves without resorting to lethal force at the drop of a dime, right? So police officers have several layers of protection that would allow them not to have to resort to that. That's why they have nightsticks. Okay, so this guy wants to get physical with me. I got a nightstick. I'll beat the fuck out of him. Now, I'm going to bust his head open, but he going to be alive. Okay? That doesn't work. I got a taser. I have pepper spray. You see, they have different tiers of weapons to defend themselves with, so that even when someone gets physical with them, they can use that instead of instantly resorting to having to kill them. Also, another part of their layers of defense is having a partner with them. Okay, so I'm trying to arrest this guy. He swung at me. Now we're tussling. But my partner came from behind and put him in a chokehold. And I shook him off. And now we put him to the ground. We put handcuffs on. You see what I'm saying? Like police officers have different ways in which they can deal with and apprehend people who are criminals, and even people who try to fight them or resist them. They don't have to instantly go for the gun. Someone like Cal, he didn't have those layers of defense to fall back on. With Cal, if you step to him, you get your wing split. Look at him. He not about to fight nobody. He not about to fight you. But you getting shot. Come on. And so, and again, it's not to say that it wasn't self-defense, because it was absolutely self-defense. Rosenbaum was absolutely in the wrong, but at the same time, this is an example of why acting as a vigilante is frowned upon, because you don't have the training, you don't have the equipment, you don't have the maturity to deal with these situations in such a way where everyone can go home alive. You know, being a police officer and all that, it's not about just shooting criminals. You know, part of being a law enforcement officer is walking that thin line between enforcing the law and dealing with criminals, but not also overstepping the boundary into using excessive force. I mean, you look at the whole George Floyd situation. They had his knee all down on his neck. The black guy who got killed, and then that event sparked the riots. Remember, he was going to his car and the cop just shot him in the back. Like, those events were very controversial, because even though these guys George Floyd got caught in the act of trying to use a counterfeit 20, and the other guy, he had a criminal history and was going to his car. Even though these guys were doing sketchy things, people were sympathetic to them because they viewed the police officers as using excessive force. And so that's the fine line. Like there's a responsibility that goes with putting yourself in that position. And that's the point. It's not just waving your gun around and going where you want. No, it's a responsibility, because you can't just go around blowing people's brains out because they decide to swing at you. You know, I remember when I was in high school, I don't know what happened, but I just caught it when it happened. This kid swung, like straight haymaker swung at a police officer. And I swear that police officer, he swayed like Ep.025 or something. Like that kid completely missed, and the police officer was able to restrain him. But that's an example of what I'm talking about. Like now, what if that police officer would have just said, "Oh no, I can't fight. Let me shoot this kid." Boom, right? But that police officer obviously had some fighting background. I mean, the way he dodged that punch, bro, it was some UFC shit. I never forgot that. And he quickly apprehended this teenager. But that's what I'm saying. It's a responsibility that comes with putting yourself in a position like that. And I don't think Cal was cut out for it. I really don't. And even so, like, one detail was that he was with someone, but then he got separated from them. And so that goes back to, again, the layers of defense that I was talking about that law enforcement use. Okay, I'm not by myself. I have my partner with me. So if anything goes down, somebody has my back. If that guy was still, if Cal never separated from him, that alone could have prevented that situation from happening. Because now Cal feels like, okay, Rosenbaum is coming at me, but as he's coming at me, my friend is right there with me, so he got me. So I maybe I can just hit him with the gun. And but you see how shit goes, and so that's why I think Cal is a good kid. I think he had the best of intentions. Cal is going to be a great, courageous man someday. He is going to be a great, courageous man. I guarantee you that. But he was not cut out to be in that situation. And I think that's partly why it escalated to that point, because he didn't have the maturity, the experience, or the authority to de-escalate that. And even going back to what I just said about authority, that too, if Rosenbaum would have saw a police officer standing there with a badge, again, it's that layer of defense. Okay, I can't fuck with this dude. This is a cop. I fuck with him, it's over. But he saw Kyle, some chubby cheek, cute kid. Fuck this nigga, man. I kill you, nigga. Shoot. He had no fear. He had no fear for this dude. I mean, that's why he walked up on him. Even though Kyle had the gun pointed at him, he had no fear for him. And again, that's not to defend Rosenbaum at all. Fuck him. Honestly, fuck that nigga. Because it's absolutely no excuse for his behavior and everything that he did. Honestly, fuck him. But I'm just saying that it is a huge responsibility putting yourself in that kind of situation, in that kind of position. And I don't think Cal was cut out for it. But I do think the acquittal was just. I think the acquittal was right. And I think if people can just look past the racial bullshit associated with it and all that, and right versus left and Antifa, Black Lives Matter, just look past all that. What I see is a big win for self-defense. Like, damn, because I'm a big believer in stand your own ground. No, I said stand your own ground. Stand your ground, self-defense, gun ownership. And I feel like this verdict is a big win for those things. And that's the main thing that I take away from it. I might not agree with Cal's look. If I gotta be in a hot situation, I don't want. Don't give me this nigga. I don't want him to be my bodyguard. He'll get me in trouble. But still, he acted in complete and total self-defense. I mean, you can't argue against that. You just can't. That was another point I wanted to make too. Let me see if I can remember real quick. Let's see. No, that might have been it. That might have been it. So yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty. Oh man, I saw the video when they read the verdict. Not guilty. Not guilty. I mean, Kyle was breaking down. He was like, oh, like, you know, he was scared. He just knew, bro, I'm about to go to prison for a long fucking, I'm about to go to jail. I'm about to get beat up. Dude about to whoop my ass. Damn. Oh, right. You know, I've been talking about Rosenbaum this whole time. I got one more point to make about this. Fuck him. Fuck him, because I mean, he was an absolute, I'm gonna kill you when you get along. Like, come on, dude, fuck this dude. But I do feel bad for the other guys who got shot. I do feel bad for those. Still self-defense, but I put myself in their shoes, right? You're in this riot, these protests / riots, and it's chaos, it's craziness everywhere. Then you hear these gunshots, and you see that one of the white supremacists. Now I'm putting that in quotation marks, right? One of the white supremacists just shot one of the protesters, because you gotta read the energy of the crowd, because you know that there was friction between those two groups already. That's why Rosenbaum was trying Cal in the first place, because you just know that the energy was, or the mentality was, okay, it's us versus them. We're the protesters who are standing up for justice for Jacob Blake. And these guys who are coming out here with guns and body armor and rations and shit, these white devils with these ARs, they're the enemy. They represent law and order. They represent law enforcement that failed us, that killed this innocent black man. And I believe that's how they were thinking. It was an us and them thing. And I can just imagine the other two guys who got shot. You hear the gunshots, and then you see, okay, the protester is down. This novice KKK. What again? I put it in quotations because you just know how stupid people think, right? This novice KKK white supremacist Trump supporter probably got a MAGA hat in his back pocket, right? That's what they see. He just shot him. Oh no, I have to stop him. I gotta save the day. He's the bad guy. So I can almost kind of imagine how the second and third guy might have thought that Cal was just in white rage, just snap. It's stupid, but I can see it just based on the energy of that whole situation. It was that us versus them. We're the good guys, they're the bad guys, and vice versa. A lot of those guys felt the same way. We're trying to protect the property you guys are destroying. Like, these guys had nothing to do with what happened to Jacob Blake. And so you have this us and them on both sides, and then one side sees the other side draw first blood. I mean, there's gonna be chaos. So I can halfway sympathize with the other two guys, because I can at least kind of see how amongst the chaos they might not have realized that Cal was actually only protecting himself. He wasn't some belligerent, drunk KKK white supremacist looking to kill blacks, right? He was genuinely out there to help and protect the property of the people who did nothing wrong. But them not realizing that, and all of a sudden you see a dead protester and this guy did it. I mean, what are you supposed to think? So instantly you go into into either fight or flight. And if you fight, you feel like you're the hero. And so I can almost kind of see where he was coming from. Again, it's stupid. I hate this all this fucking division that's going on, but I can see why somebody would have thought like that. But he thought wrong and got blasted. So, rest in peace to the other two guys. I do kind of feel for them, but Rosenbaum, honestly, fuck that dude. And Kyle, congratulations. Maybe I can get you to do a cameo in my AAOFO whatever video. So that was the news for today. And next we're going to do some OC, and then I'm going to get to main topic. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back to the Botcast. So now we got the OC segment. And so where should I start at? Where should I start? Oh God, I kind of fucked up. I need to get some names. I don't want to leave them hanging. Give me 1 second here. I don't want to leave them hanging. I want to be able to shout the name out. Okay. So this first track is Dark Matter Nebula with Helium. That was Dark Matter Nebula with Helium. Now I definitely like that track. I like the overall vibe of it. It was very bassy and sound almost muddied in a way, but it kind of added to the overall like dark atmospheric vibe of it. And you can tell that underneath the surface it's like a hip hop beat, but it's different, and it's weird because I like the beat, but I think it would be hard to rap over the beat. I think it'd be kind of a hard beat to rap over, or I could be overthinking it. But I could definitely just see like a dope song. Like the right artist could make a dope song with a beat like that. But I think their vocals would have to be like heavily like edited with like different effects like reverb, chorus, and whatnot. Because I think you would have to match the vocals with the overall sound of the beat, which is again is very bassy and muddy. And so I think with something like that, you gotta definitely have vocals that can blend with that. And I think a traditional approach just wouldn't be the right way to do it. But I like that beat. I give it a 3 out of 5. So next we have Lanquidity music. Listen for a while. So that was Lanquidity music with Listening for a while. So overall, that was a pretty okay beat. I think maybe it's a bit, the beat is a bit too repetitive. It's not a lot to it, but what there is of it is pretty decent. But really more like, to me, it sounds more like intermission music. Like imagine you had an album or a mixtape with like a skit track, like that beat sounds like it would be perfect for a little short skit track on an album or a mixtape. Maybe not necessarily something to rap to, but overall the production is solid. It's just a bit too simple and repetitive to really do anything. I think really complex with it. But okay, so next we have a song by yours truly. I always got to fit myself in there, but more so just out of laziness of having to find other artists. But so this is one of maybe you guys have heard this track before. It's called Melancholy. And this is some definitely some retro Chad Marco right here. This is some old Chad Marco. I can't even remember how old, but definitely like this is some old Chad Marco. But I think it's just kind of it's a very simple, funny song. Back when I was still just rapping about anything and didn't have much direction as far as like my lyrics and whatnot. But it's a fun song overall, so let's give it a listen. Hey man, what you need?
You got that going lager?
Yeah. Subs or dubs?
Dubs.
Fuck out my face. I'm chillin' in my room playing Doom. I'm trippin' like a nigga pop the mushroom. But that ain't the case, I'm just mental. I'm tryna cop that grill, yeah, that Dento. I'm talking gold, I'm talking platinum and silver. That girl cheated on me twice, but I forgive her. What? She's a slut, she's a porn star, Sasha Grey. All I'ma say ain't my main bitch anyway. Riding around in my town in that Honda. Beep, beep. Black and white car on my Honda. You're out of control, and you can kiss my ass. I be riding past, I be riding fast, playing double dash, going for the cash. I be throwing them bands, balling out with my friends, trying to fuck with my clan. I'm throwing them hands, I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. I be throwing them bands, balling out with my friends, trying to fuck with my clan. I'm throwing them hands, I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. Look up if you wanna see just who the star is. Me. My chain the same price that your car is. Damn. I don't freestyle, I be charging. How much? You know I pay in cash, you be borrowing. Yeah, I've been going in since I was 15. Cutting heads off like a guillotine. Super stupid flow, call it meat wad. Whoa. I'm so fucking high, I might meet God. Your girl on my dick, check the call log. Phone full of numbers and they y'all bras. But these hoes won't tie me up. Making money sign me up, feel like coming up. Papers fly me up like Andromeda. I be throwing them bands, balling out with my friends, trying to fuck with my clan. I'm throwing them hands, I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. I be throwing them bands, balling out with my friends, trying to fuck with my clan. I'm throwing them hands, I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. That was Chad Marco with Melancholy. I had a lot of fun with that song. I can still vividly remember when I was making the beat and everything, man, because I had like a Cowboy Bebop wallpaper in my FL studio while I was making that beat, and I remember like my mom was just leaving and I was finishing it up, and then I wrote Melancholy, and it's just a fun song where I'm just rapping about random shit, just a bunch of shit that I don't do. talking about having a fucking phone full of girls' numbers and shit, just rapping about anything. That was before I had any kind of direction. But it's always funny going back to those songs because I see just how much I was just willing to talk about anything, because really I just wanted to rap. I think that's the time when I was still just kind of finding my voice, and I I didn't really find my my lane until maybe like soon after that, because even with Melancholy, like you can see like some of that early DNA of where I was leaning towards, like anime references and different memes and just like little just saying little funny shit here and there. So you can see a lot of the you can see some of that. You can see some of the rapper that I would become in those older songs. It just I didn't quite have a good idea of the direction that I really wanted to go in, like I do now. But that song, I'll give it a melancholy. On a sentimental level, it's a 3 for me, but I'll give it a 2.5 because it's very dated. That song is very dated compared to what I do now. But sentimentally, I do like that song. But objectively, it's like objectively is really more like it's like a 2.5, and that 0.5 comes from the fact that it's at least funny. Okay, so the next track is going to be, give me a second here. This next track is going to be Pedro Vicio with Something, because I couldn't pronounce the Japanese symbols that he used for the title. Enjoy. Okay, that was Pedro VCO with something. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, that is some top notch. That's definitely some high tier production values there. Damn, when I heard this track, I subscribed to his channel because I was like, I might need to get some pointers from this guy because I like that vibe that he's able to create with his music. It kind of reminds me of maybe this is a stretch, but like that's something like I could imagine hearing in like Cowboy Bebop or something, or what's that other shit that had music like that? Damn, what was it? Was it the? Oh, dude, if you guys have not heard the original Hellsing OST, I'm not talking about Hellsing Ultimate, but the original Hellsing has a very good OST. But or maybe even what's another show? It's a couple of like anime shows, but this type of music just kind of reminds me of different OSTs that I've heard. It's got kind of a very like soulful, like a soulful jazzy sound, and I really dig that. So I might be getting in contact with this dude, see what the fuck he be doing. I might even be able to sample some of his shit. So, but I give that a solid 3.5. I just like that high quality production values that this particular track has. It does sound a bit generic when like that particular genre of music don't really stand out, but it's that like I give it relatively high scores for the sake of, or for the fact that the production values are quite high. So last but not least, we have, who do we have? Jules a Cab with Soul Spell. Enjoy.
Pass a little bit of Henny in a pack of pills. No, I'm gone, let the Eddie make it last for real. Don't say I'm out of line if you holding the cat. You can phone the cat, get the pussy with the hearse and the bouquet strap. You be holding me up like a power barrel waiting for my spirit to cut. Down my image and blow. We got in fish and they float. Smoke the loud to disavow time. Disagree with entropy. I'm still waiting another prologue. Prozac, I'm slurring with them on guard. On guard, serotonin be depleted. Catalog duck shit be deleted. At the roll, I thank for the fetus. At a true bad mood, ain't nothing new and I bleed it. Smoke the loud to disavow time. Disagree with entropy. I'm sacrosanct, I hold the flame close. Empathy be ducking that the most. Sympathy be lost amongst the rain. Should I bleed my soul to feed the bang? Am I pouring a 45-degree? From the palm, but they remember me. And the nigga time folks claiming it is so faint. Scared of your age, I can tell. Down my image it blow. We got envision, they flow. And the nigga time folks claiming it is so faint. Scared of your age, I can tell. Down my image it blow. We got envision, they flow. Got me looking for my proverbs. Cold word, hitting Jakes to the throat her. Unemployment, no void, I ain't one word. Hitting fades at the part like a SG. PG-14 under reefer. Smoke urges, dissipate the time gone. Revert, claim my mind, let the wine gone. I rate my weight, flish away the cordon up to my mind state. What it started, slept the what it defaulted, what it's recorded shit. I delete on scar, on fire, on happiness bleeding. Still stay rapping till spirit receding. Like I'm needing that echo, that bitter passion lost. 2-6 like crucifix, that cross bone my brain. Cripple it further, I smoke in strain. Smoke the loud to disavow time. Disagree with entropy, I sacrosanct, I hold the flame close. Empathy, ducking that the most. Sympathy, we lost amongst the rain. Should I bleed my soul to feed the brain? And my point of 45-degree. From the palm, but they remember me. And the nigga time was claiming it so fake.
Okay, so that was Jules a Cab. I had gum in my mouth. That was Jules a Cab with Soul Spell. So I kind of like that. But while I was listening to it, there was one thought in my head the whole time. When are the kicks going to come in? If that song would have had kicks, that would have elevated a whole half a point for me. It had bass, but it didn't have that kick. Kick without bass bass without kick, either one, man, I just like when I hear mixes, I gotta have both. They don't always have to be like 808s or nothing like that, or like a big strong kick, but kick and bass just complement each other so much. And this song had the bass, but it didn't have the kick. But I did like the overall vibe of the song and the direction that he went into. I think though, it would have been better if the vocals were edited a bit better. This might be too far away too. I better stop playing. Hold up, let me adjust this mic a little bit. But yeah, I think the vocals could have been edited a bit better. I think if the beat had kicks and the vocals were edited more efficiently, it would have been pretty close to a good song. But I did like the vibe, but those two missing elements really hurt it. So I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5. I always got to remind you guys, it's out of 5. I'm not. This is a 2.5 out of 10. That would be heartbreaking. 2.5 out of 5. So I hope you guys enjoyed that OC segment. And next, we're going to get right into the main topic: why you should escape from the hood. Stay tuned.
Trying to fuck with my clan, I'm throwing them hands. I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. I be throwing them bands, falling out with my friends. Trying to fuck with my clan, I'm throwing them hands. I be going so hard, pulling up in that car. I be whipping it, lean on sipping it, clothes on fitting it, bitch I'm getting it. Look up if you.
Okay, so welcome back. And now it is time for the main topic, which is escape from the motherfucking hood. So recently, like I just discussed, Young Dolph, the rapper, was murdered in his own city, his own hood, right? And this is something that has happened time and time again. I told you about the Bootsy interview that everybody knows about. And, you know, I just before I really get into this, I want to give you this list. This is actually a short list. But hold up. A short list of rappers who died in their own hood. So, we have Big L, Doe B, I remember that one, Soulja Slim, Camouflage, Bankroll Fresh, Chinks Drugs, Fat Pack and Big Hawk. I ain't never heard of them. Slim Duncan. It's been a while since I heard that damn name. Lil JoJo, Proof, Lil Snoop, Freaky Ty, Doughboy Rock, Kid Hood. And of course, it's more than that. You got Nipsey Hussle, I believe XXX Tentacion, and the list goes on. It's even more, because this list is old. It's like from like 2018 or something like this. This is an old list, but you know, there's even more than that. So the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because after Young Dolph was killed, I saw a lot of YouTubers, a lot of content creators jump online and give their perspective, which for the most part I agree with, because we're all sending the same message, and it's a message that we have to get over this attachment to keeping it real, keeping it street, keeping it hood. Because the simple fact of the matter is, these environments, these hoods, these projects, these poor neighborhoods that a lot of us come from, they're very dangerous. And if you happen to be someone who's successful, especially a rapper, you're going to attract a lot of negative energy, especially like a street rapper. I mean, you just asking for it. That like black rapper, street rapper, in the hood. Come on, come on. I mean, you're asking to get shot. I mean, what? And so most of the guys who reacted to this pretty much said what I'm going to tell you now, which is, you have to get the fuck out of the hood. And this is for anyone, not just rappers, but especially rappers. You have got to get the hell out of the hood, and you have to stay out of the hood, because the thing about the hood, the projects, the ghetto, whatever you want to call it, let me tell you, man, most people are not that bad. Most people they're not bad people. We might have our particular traumas that we went through growing up in these areas. We might be mildly involved in crime in one way or another, right? Like, you might have some guys who they sell bootleg DVDs in front of the barbershop. You got some girls cheat, like doing little tax scams and stuff like that. Udi and a Ray down the street, they sell weed. Shit like that. Like, okay, a lot of people are in one way or another involved in like some type of petty criminal activity. Maybe they have a bad habit, like, Uncle Jamal might be struggling with alcohol addiction. You might have a cousin who popped pills. Your granddad was a crackhead. Your aunt was a crackhead. Shit like that, right? And then you got my cousin is in a gang, and shit like that, right? But most people aren't like bad to the point of like kicking in doors, robbing niggas, or shooting and killing people and things of that nature, or selling hard drugs like cocaine and heroin and whatnot. Most people are not bad people. We have our traumas from growing up in these areas, but most people just are truly not like what I consider bad or evil. But the fact is, these environments produce some of the most demonic, evil, conscious less, merciless, crazy, despicable people on the face of the planet. 90% are, like I said, are not that bad, but it's that other 10% that fucks it up for everyone. That fucks it up for everybody. These are the killers. The guys who really be in the streets, gang banging, shooting at motherfuckers, shooting up people mama houses and killing people, robbing convenience stores and kicking in doors and shit like that, selling hard drugs, helping, drug dealing, that fucks up the community, all that shit. And so what you have to understand is that these environments produce what I'm going to call wolves. Wolves or vultures, hyenas, however you want to call it. Like, these environments produce a lot of. Now, you got bad eggs in any environment, but there's certainly a higher concentration in the poor areas, low, the projects, the ghettos, the hoods, and whatnot. We definitely have a higher concentration of these types of people. And what you have to understand is that, and this doesn't just pertain to the rappers, but definitely to the rappers, because rappers stand out so much. What you have to understand is that when you're successful in these types of communities, you stand out way too much. Now, when you were just like everybody else, when you were broke like everybody else, struggling like everybody else, trying to sell nickel bags and dime bags of weed like everybody else, barely getting by on food stamps, hanging out on the corner or hanging out on the block, all that shit. You didn't really stand out. Now, that doesn't mean you're safe, especially if you're a street guy and you got beef. But the thing is, as long as you're not too heavily involved in the street, you're going to be almost invisible, at least to the wolves of these communities, because they're looking for marks. They're looking for targets. They're looking for situations where they can get a come up on. You know, someone like, if they're going to rob somebody, they want to get something out of it. They want to kill someone, they got to get something out of it, right? You don't want to just do shit for no reason. And the problem with being a rapper, and a rich rapper at that, in these type of communities, is that you stand out way too much. You stand out like a sore thumb. And so it's only a matter of time before the wolves, it's only a matter of time before they catch your scent and they take notice of you. I look at myself, for example, right? You guys know I rap, but of course I'm not a famous rapper or nothing like that. In fact, most people in my area don't know I even rap. Like, my friends know, but that's about it, because I don't really put it out there like that. I'm really low key with it. But and so that, combined with the fact that I'm not in the streets, I don't have any beefs or nothing like that, I can still maneuver around the city like a normal person. Like, I can walk way uptown. I can go to the library. I can walk into the library. I can ride my bike to work. I can ride my bike to Walmart, walk to Walmart, run, and not do all that shit. I can be out. And at all these years of living like this, nothing bad has really happened to me. The worst thing that happened was that video I posted on YouTube when those kids sprayed me with the water gun. Luckily, one of them recorded it. so I can see my dumb face. But that's like the worst shit that's happened to me after all these years. But that's because I'm a nobody. Nobody knows me. I look like a dusty. I'm broke. Nobody gives a fuck about me. So I'm able to just walk around and no one notices me. But if my music were to really blow up and people see me getting a lot of attention, gaining a greater deal of success, getting a lot of money, all of a sudden they'll start to notice me. Now, that's going to be good and bad, because like I said, the good people of the community they would embrace that and rally behind me and be supportive and ask for handouts. But that's just how it goes. But then you're going to have the wolves too. It's going to be the wolves too. Probably guys that I've been to school with, guys who seen me and didn't know. If my music were to blow up and the people in my environment, in my community were to become aware of it, the downside would be that the wolves would catch wind of it as well. And so now I become a target. Now I wouldn't be able to maneuver around the city like I've been doing, just walking around everywhere, headphones on, running and shit on the bike, night walking. That show would be done. Night walk my ass. Let me tell you, boy. I'll change the format of the show. I'll be in my room. I have a green screen in the back with like a nighttime sky and moon on it and the stars, and I'll just do it like that. I would be night walking at all. But that's the difference though, when you're a nobody versus when you're a somebody, and that's not to say that you can't get taken out as a nobody. That's why, again, I advise anyone to get out the hood, but especially if you're a rapper, because you stand out way too much, and you don't know the ripple effect of your activities, right? Just for example, My music blows up. I'm a local celebrity. I'm getting bitches now. Oh, let me fuck this fine young thing that's giving me, that's slid in my DMs and she got a big booty nut, right? But what I don't know, is that that's somebody girl. And that guy could be, oh, he a blood, he a crib, he a GDB, right? I didn't know that, but I just fucked this girl. And now he finds out I'm a target now, right? Because with that success, you get put in situations like that where now you can deal with different types of women, but these women are connected with different street dudes, and their brother might be a street dude. It's just shit like that can happen, and that's the kind of danger you put yourself into when you're in these kind of these hood environments as someone who's relatively successful. And here's one of the clearest examples of why it's so dumb for rappers to come back to their hood. Cause you gotta think about it, bro. Think of someone who becomes successful and wealthy, not through rap or anything like that, right? Let's say someone born in the hood, but they did very well in school. They go to college, they get an engineering degree, and so they become an engineer and they make $100,000 a year. Dude, when they start making that money, that good engineer money, they not coming back to the hood. they're not coming back to the hood. They're moving the fuck out. Now if grandma and grandpa stay in the hood, they might slide on through. And it wouldn't be as bad for them, because if you got wealthy as by becoming an engineer, you're gonna still be able to fly under the radar, as long as you're not loud in that area. And when I say loud, I mean like flashy, dripping with jewelry and fancy car. Like when you go visit your grandma, you better pull up in that damn 2005 Honda that you got for backup, and be dressed like plain clothes and shit. I'm just saying, right? But it just seems like rappers in particular just have this thing about going back to the hood and shit like that. And so you look at the Young Dolph situation, and one of the things that stand out about it, because from what I understand, he did move out of that area. I think he was I think he was living in Atlanta at the time, but he went back to Memphis because he was doing a turkey drive and he was going to do something, give back to the community, right? And goddamn, what a good soul. What a kind thing to do. But it's pointless. It's pointless. I completely understand wanting to keep it real and stay connected to where you're from. Never forget where you came from and all that. And then you want to give back and uplift the community. But what my goal is today, I'm going to try not to make it too long. I want to make it abundantly clear why all these rappers, all these guys who try to give back to the hood and all that shit, I want to make it clear why most of what they're doing is pointless. Because when you look at a lot of these activities, a lot of these acts of kindness that you see these guys doing as far as giving back to the hood, how often do you see it happen where, okay, somebody made it from the hood, they became a millionaire, and they were able to come back and turn everything around, right? Like not turn the place into something perfect. I mean, that's nowhere, but to elevate it to the next level where it wouldn't be considered a hood or a ghetto or a project. That never happens. That never happens. All these turkey drives and giveaways, you're barely putting a dent in the problem. That's why if you make it out, it's better to stay out. it is better to stay out. Unless you're going to attack the problem at the core, it's futile. It is absolutely futile. So I got a couple major points that I want to talk about as to why it's futile, right? And why the negativity and bad energy of these communities is so deep rooted, and why the efforts that a lot of these rappers take to give back aren't really doing much good when you look at the bigger picture. In essence, you're really wasting your time. If you really want to help, you got to get to the source. And I'm going to reveal what I believe the source actually is towards the middle or end here. But I'm going to just tackle some of the, like, these. Okay, I have 4 major points that I want to tackle. And for the sake of this topic, I'm going to call them the 4 pillars of destruction. These are the 4 pillars of destruction. 4 of the main reasons why the hood will always be the hood. Why you should leave the ghetto. Why there is no saving the projects. Unless you are going to attack the problem at the source. Okay, so let's start. So the first pillar of destruction is gang culture. Maybe we got some street dudes listening and they're going to want to blow my brains out for saying this, but it must be said because it's the absolute truth. But gang culture is an absolute cancer within the black community, within any community. Like, how many gangs can you point to where it's like they were a positive influence? I know that there are some gangs that have history in in some level of positivity where like it was about protecting the neighborhood and doing this and that. But we have strayed far from the path. And at this point, gang culture is nothing but a cancer. When you talk about all of the death and the sorrow and the suffering and the problems that it causes, this ever-growing pile of black male bodies that's just growing and growing and growing, shot to death, shot up, shot all up, shot 2 times, shot 5 times, shot 10 times, shot in the head, shot in the back, shot in the arm, but or shot in the leg and bled out some shit. Like, I mean, come on, dude. And you look at these gangs, how do they make their money? They probably not gonna be working at Walmart or McDonald's. How do they make their money? Real estate? Fuck no. Most gangs make their money and their currency through illegal activity. Kicking in doors, stealing from people, robbing convenience stores, robbing different places, selling drugs, selling poison to your own community, which does all kinds of unseen damage, you know? And what blows my mind is when I see some of these like rappers, when I see some of these rappers who I understand they came from that lifestyle. They might have been a part of a particular gang, and then they became a rapper. They became very successful. And some of these guys not only become successful, they become very wise. And yet, a lot of these guys, they don't completely disassociate themselves from the gang that they came from. You see them still with the same rags and making it abundantly clear that they still with it and this and that. And I don't understand that. I don't get how you can reach that level how you can reach that level of awareness and even speak out against the violence in our communities, in our neighborhoods, but you still rep these gangs. You still fly those colors. You still, you know, like wouldn't the better message be to completely disassociate yourself from that, when the majority of the activities of these gangs is nothing but negative, is death and destruction? The sorrow of all these mothers, sisters, baby mamas who are heartbroken and traumatized by the deaths of their loved ones, their lovers, their boyfriends, their sons, their cousins, their fathers. And when I see these guys, they come from that. And I get it, you got an attachment to it, but I don't see how you can't recognize. I can't see how you can't recognize all of the chaos and evil that comes from these gangs, and then still to still represent it in one way or another. I would never understand that. But gang culture is one of the main pillars of destruction of the black community, or the hood, the ghetto, whatever you want to, the projects, right? And if you don't address that, if you don't attack that, if you don't discourage that, then all this giving back, you know, showing up, passing out money, giving out this, giving out that, you're not you're not fixing the actual problem. It's just more handouts. But gang culture is a cancer on the black. It is a cancer. I know this guy, he's kind of become famous recently. His name is Charleston White, and he said that he's kind of been in hot water, because he said, I think he said something like gang banging is worse. Gangs are worse than slavery, or something like that. And so he's kind of in hot water about that, because it's kind of a controversial statement, right? To compare gangs to slavery, and not like he gives a fuck what anyone else thinks, but when I heard that, look, I'm not going to say it's worse, but they are both extremely bad. And if we want to move forward as a people, if you really want to, if you want to so-called help the black community uplift, that's one of the things. Gang culture has to be discouraged, dismantled, all that. But you know, part of the problem is this whole no snitching thing. This whole, you know, don't snitch, don't tell, this backwards ass fucking thinking that we've adopted. Cause you gotta think about it. A normal person, you're a guy. Somebody killed your friend. You know who killed him. Instead of seeking revenge personally, you go to the police and you quote unquote snitch. Hey, I'm a witness. This guy killed my friend. The police handle it. He gets arrested. He goes to prison for life. Boom. But see, the way we handle it, because we don't want to snitch, somebody kills our friend, we're not going to be a snitch and tell. I'm going to get my gun and I'm going to kill the guy who killed my friend. I kill him, but the streets know I killed him because they know he killed my friend and he had friends. Now they mad, so they killed me. I'm dead as fuck now. But the guy who killed me, he get caught by the police. Jail in prison for life. So right there, what's that? You got what? Like 3-4 young black men either dead or in jail because of the cycle of violence. But no snitching. No snitching. And it kills me. It kills me. All these people who who want to go at Tekashi 6ix9ine for snitching. They want to hold him up as being just the most despicable man in hip hop. But at the same time, we support and pedestalize and glorify these rappers who've done things 10 times worse. I mean, fuck Tekashi snitching. What about all these rappers who openly admit to selling drugs? Hard drugs, cocaine, lean, heroin, fucking up our own kids. How are you not mad at them, but you're mad at Tekashi 6ix9ine? How are you mad at him, but you're not mad at the rappers who openly, who maybe not completely openly, but have a reputation for killing other black men? But that's cool. But Tekashi telling is not. And is that kind of backwards ass, dumb ass, retarded ass fucking thinking why these communities would never get ahead? God. And just as well, because I'm going to get, and now I'm going to transition to the next pillar. The second pillar of destruction of the black community, of the hood, of the projects, is drug dealing. Drug dealing. And you guys know I talked about my stepdad. Oh, I feel silly even putting dad in. He was a step nigga. My step nigga, I told you about my crack addicted step nigga, Dennis. So growing up with him in the house, I got a front row seat to the horrors of drug addiction. In particular, crack cocaine. And what it does to an individual. Now look, Dennis, I believe without that crack addiction, Dennis would have been a much better person. He would have been much more tolerable. I mean, he if not for the crack addiction, not only would he probably be alive today, him and my mother would probably still be together today. Like it did that much damage. Cause as much as I can't stand that motherfucker, as much as I talk shit about him, being honest, if I look at him as a whole and take out, like, just take him and all his bullshit, but take the crack addiction out, he would have been a tolerable person to be. He would have been a tolerable person to be around. Even with the alcohol addiction and the bad eating habits and the attitude and all that shit, without the crack just took him to a whole different level of demon. It took him to a whole nother level of demonic energy. I'm telling you, the shit it made him do, ridiculous. And this is one man. This is one man struggling with drug addiction. But there are many like him scattered all across these neighborhoods. Some addicted to crack. Some addicted to powder cocaine. Some addicted to alcohol, because alcohol will be considered a drug. So yeah, I got to throw that in there as far as like the drug problem. Heroin is another one. Lean, pill popping is becoming very popular now. You can throw marijuana in there, but we all know marijuana really, right? But look, marijuana is a drug, but compared to the other drugs, even alcohol, I think whatever damage it does do is negligible by comparison. But it is a drug, and it is a drug that it might not have that same. It might not ravish your soul the same way that other drugs do, but weed addiction, weed culture has led to like a lot of guys getting locked up, going to jail and whatnot, so or not being able to get jobs and shit like that. So it has its negatives as well. It's just like, it's baby tier compared to the other ones, but just again, I was talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine. Everybody was on his ass about snitching. But then you got all these rappers that openly admit to selling drugs, dealing drugs. Like, do you know what that is? I know it sound cool over an 808 trap beat. I know it sounds cool because I like it too. It's dope. I'm in that trap. Look, I got my own trap song. Bottle work, flip it like pancake. Bottle work, flip it like this. I get it. It sounds cool, but you have to understand the reality of this is that when these guys are selling drugs, they are poisoning their own communities. Like you're destroying your own community from the inside out. I remember I was watching a Vlad TV interview of AZ Faison. Now he's the guy that the movie Paid in Full was based on, you know, with Mekhi Phifer, Cameron, and forgot that other dude's name. Wasn't he in, damn, I forgot his name, but you know his face. But AZ Faison, I was watching his Vlad TV interview, and he was talking about being a drug dealer and how he said something to the effect of, for a while when we were selling drugs, everything was fun, everything was good, everybody was eating. I was selling my drugs, I was putting money in everybody's pockets, but over time, it's like violence started to get involved. People started turning up dead and getting robbed and shit. He said it was, for a while it was cool, right? But then over time it got worse and worse and worse. And as I'm listening to him, I know exactly what happened. I don't know if he realizes that, because the way he said it was like he didn't understand it, but I got what happened. And he might not have realized it at the time, but what was happening was that through his actions of being a drug dealer and flooding his streets with cocaine and whatnot, he was destroying his community from the inside out. And so that's why it was gradually getting worse and worse right underneath his own feet. Because you cannot sit here and flood the streets with hard drugs that will inevitably send the lives of many of the people who indulge in it into a tailspin. It'll throw their lives completely off track. It'll make them do things they would have never thought of doing. It made women sell their bodies for drugs and for money. It made men resort to robbing people, stealing from their mama. I mean, again, I live with this shit. You come back home, a damn TV missing out of nowhere, right? I was in this shit. And then that spirals out of control. You have a couple. The father gets addicted to drugs. The mother gets addicted to drugs. They have a kid. The father ends up dying of a drug-related heart attack. The mama's alone with the kid. But she's a crackhead. She's stressed out. She can't raise a nigga. Now this kid ain't got nobody raising him. He turned to the streets. He crazy. He ain't got no home training. He get a gun. Now he shoot your ass. That's how that shit happens. Drugs play a major role in these places and these environments being so dangerous and being so shitty. And I want to say this is a conspiracy, but I think it's pretty much confirmed. But it's been talked about quite a bit how a lot of the drugs like cocaine and crack coming into these neighborhoods in the 80s, like there's always been this I don't even know if I can call it a theory, because for everything that I've seen, it seemed pretty damn true. But this quote unquote theory that the government played a role in bringing guns and drugs to these communities. I know, just to reference another Vlad TV interview, the one he did with Ricky Ross, the real drug dealing Rick Ross, not the rapper Rick Ross. He talked about it a bit, how the CIA was involved and connected to like drug shipments and whatnot. And so that's a whole nother layer. Like that's now we're getting to that layer of the government actively trying to fuck up our neighborhoods. But drug dealers, but again, no snitching. But you know the guys right up the street, they selling coke, they selling heroin, but you don't say nothing because no snitching. Like, all you gotta do is these guys selling crack across the street. Please get these Negroes out of here, right? But that's not what we do. That's not what we do. And just going back to the whole gang thing, I mean, these guys always get involved in drug dealing, but with the amount of tenacity that they have, the manpower that they have, just imagine if they did like you know how in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas you had Grove Street, but they were a gang, but their thing was they didn't want the ballers coming and selling dope in their neighborhoods. Like they were a gang, but they were fighting for the sake of not having drugs take over their neighborhood. And so just imagine if gangs were on some shit like that, where they didn't tolerate that. They didn't tolerate the dealing and shipment of hard drugs and discouraged it, and even use violence to get that point across. Like, just imagine that. But that's not what it is. It's the exact opposite. So yeah, drug dealing is one of the major pillars of destruction within the black community. Okay, so the next pillar of destruction is single motherhood. I had to call it out. And I'm going to come with a big article to support this claim. To support this claim that I'm making. But I truly believe that single motherhood is one of the worst. I mean, this one of the worst pillars. And now we're getting closer to the source of the problem. And my belief is this: the biggest cause of these high rates of murder, crime, drug addiction, whatever form of debauchery and degeneracy and crime you think of, I think one of the biggest causes for it is the destruction of the family unit. It is the destruction of the family unit. Let me tell you guys something, because I was born in the projects, but I didn't stay there long. I went from the projects to the country for a while. Then I came to the city where I'm at now. And within my city, like where I've lived most of my life, I live in a pretty decent, like a decent neighborhood, comparatively, right? But, and I've explained this before, but the way my neighborhood is, it's like you have decent areas like mine, but all around, scattered in between and around, is little hoods too. Like, let me just give you a quick example. So I'm at my house now. If I were to go to the McDonald's up the street, and I could take a straight shot there. So before I get to McDonald's, if I take a right, it's a little hood area right there. Right there in the cut, like a nice little hood area. Or let's say I want to go to the library, which is a trip I've made quite often. Or even going up to like Walmart, the mall and all that. To get there, I go through a little, like I go through a little hood area. And it's been multiple times where on my way back, from wherever I was, yellow tape was up. Like, cause somebody, like a shooting just happened or somebody just got shot. Like on my way back, and that shit spooked me because it had me thinking, like, man, if I would have been walking a little bit faster or left a little bit early, I could have got caught up in that shit. But that's how close everything is. Like just walking back from the mall or Walmart, it's been times where I ran right into the yellow tape, cops everywhere because somebody just got shot or there was a shooting. But that's just kind of how my area is. It's like it's little hoods scattered around the little decent neighborhoods. And so that's why I say decent, because in order for a neighborhood to be good, you kind of got to be really away from it. And we're just not that far. Like it's all around us. Like you take one, you go to the left or the right, whatever, you can easily end up in one of them areas. But let me tell you what I noticed. When you go to these hood areas, when you go to these the most hood project areas, got one thing in common, and that's the high rate of single mothers. The worst areas are always the places where you have these young mothers who are single and have kids, but they're on these different government assistance programs, in particular the low income housing areas. Now these are areas where if you are a woman and you are a single mother, you get low income housing, which means the rent is going to be like $50, $100 or something like that. Nothing. I could pay that. I could pay that shit with like my broke ass. Dude, I'm just now thinking about it. Dude, I could like even before I got my job, I could donate plasma like twice a week and have my rent paid for the whole month. But that's how it's set up though. Single mothers, they get access to these low income apartment areas. And so they all just swarm there. Because it's basically a way for them to be independent simply by having a child. You have a child, don't really matter by who. It could be by Pookie and Ray Ray. It could be by Udi and Boo Boo. It could be by Jamal and Demetrius. It don't matter. But you have a kid, and by you being a single mother, you get access to these low income apartment areas. And on top of that, you're going to get food stamps. You're going to get WIC. And all that shit. But at the same time, these are always the worst areas. These are always the most violent areas where most of the shoot, like at least close to where a lot of the shootings happen, or where a lot of the gangs kind of come together and hang out on the block and shit like that. Different crime, drug dealing, all that. These are always the most dangerous areas. I mean, because my sister stays in the area like that, and sometimes I'll be riding with my mom to go over there, and and the thing is, it doesn't look bad on the surface. It's not like it's you just pull up and it's just like craziness now. But it's one of the main differences that I see compared to like where I live is that you just see kids everywhere, like unsupervised, like just kids just out and about, like in little gangs and shit. Like this is just little cliques of kids walking, playing, having fun. But I don't see that where I'm at. Like the kids on my block, they stay in their damn yard. Like they come outside, they in the yard, or they coming and going. They not just out. It's not like all the kids just get together and just be walking around the neighborhood and shit like that. So it's like, that's one of the main things that I noticed on the surface going over there is like just very little adult supervision. So the kids just out there just kind of living life. But the fact is, bro, and I think anyone who lives in an area similar to mine or close to the hood, you can attest to this. The worst areas always have the highest concentration of single mothers. That's what they all have in common. Because the thing about it is this. And I'm sure we've all heard this, but and this is only part of it. But one part of it is just that, one, a woman cannot raise a boy to be a man. Now, you're going to have some outliers and whatnot, but I mean, it's common sense. It's common sense. If I am a soccer coach, how am I going to teach, how am I going to teach just going random? How am I supposed to be a teacher? How am I supposed to teach LeBron James' kid how to play basketball? If I'm a soccer coach, how do I teach somebody else's kid to play basketball? Or if I'm a basketball coach, how am I going to teach you how to play football? And so I believe part of the reason why this single motherhood thing is so bad in these communities is that you have these women who are having girls as well as boys, but these boys don't have father figures. They don't have a strong father figure in the household to guide them, to set boundaries, to discipline them, and to keep them on the straight and narrow. And so what do you do? Like, because again, the moms can only keep them under control for so long. Them ass whoopings only gonna be scary for so long. At some point, that boy gonna start fighting back. He not gonna give a fuck what you saying. I mean, because I've been through the same shit. And past a certain point, you just not scared of your mama no more. And she can't control. My bad, I hit the table. And she can't really control you anymore. And so if you take a liking to the streets, you want to join a gang, you want to sell dope, whatever, then it's there for you. It's right there for you, especially if you in these neighborhoods, because that's where a lot of these guys organize. That's where a lot of the gangs organize. That's where a lot of drug dealers, that's where at least like lower level, mid-level drug dealers, the high level ones, they're going to probably move out. But they'll still be around, but you know how it is. But it's there for you once you walk outside. And it's very little that your mom is going to be able to do in order to prevent you from going down that path, because in a lot of ways, it's a cycle. It's a cycle of bad parenting, or even a lack of mother / father parenting, leading to a result, which is a kid growing into an adult that hasn't been raised properly, that hasn't been taught everything that he or she needs to know to successfully navigate through the world, what it takes to develop self-esteem, what it means to have integrity, what it means to work hard for something, you know? And so they don't know how to do it. And so they make the same mistakes that their parents made. And the cycle continues and continues. And the crazy thing is, like I've had a front row seat to this. I look at my grandma. I can look all the way back to my grandma, to my mom, to my sister, to her daughter, and it's just a cycle. It happens again and again and again. The grandma won't raise right, so she couldn't raise her kids. They weren't raised right, so they couldn't raise their kid. And I got a front row seat. And I mean, I'm looking at 4 generations of it right in front of me. And one of the major things that they have in common is that single motherhood. Yeah, they had a boyfriend here and there. My grandma was married maybe a couple times, but at the height of her being young with kids, you know, she was, as far as I know, she was just dealing with different dudes. They didn't have a solid father figure. And so with my mom, it was the same thing where she had her kids, but we never had a solid father figure. We had a crackhead in the house, and my dad, he won't shit. He went around. I barely saw him. He'd come pick us up every now and then, but quite frankly, he won't shit. And so that neglect is passed down to us. I was lucky that I was a lame, weird virgin type nigga. So I was able to at least avoid perpetuating the cycle because girls didn't like me. So that was a good thing about that. But my sister didn't, because she's a girl. Girls gonna get it. Girls, they can't avoid it pretty much. And so with her, I'm seeing the continuation of that cycle where she's not really raising her kids the way that they should be raised. She's neglecting them. She's not putting the right influences and exposing them to the right things. She's not doing that. And I'm seeing the effect that it's having on her kids. And it's a cycle. And they don't have that solid father figure in their life. We're talking 2 kids by two different guys, and neither one of them put in the adequate amount of effort in raising them. But it's a cycle. And so that's why I say single motherhood is definitely one of the biggest pillars of destruction within our neighborhood. And that leads me to number 4, which is connected. And that's government handouts. Government handouts. And this is why the hood is always gonna be fucked up. This is why the hood is always going to be fucked up. Or at least one of the biggest reasons why. And what my whole point with this, I'm trying to get you guys to understand, is that these places are flawed by design. I don't care how many turkeys you give out. I don't care how much money you throw in the strip club. I don't care how many 50s and 100s you give out to the kids. I don't care how many Christmas giveaways you do. If you don't attack the problem at the source, these places are always going to be dangerous, full of crime, full of death, and full of misery. So why government handouts? Why government handouts? And so what you have to, and this is a general theory that a lot of guys have within the black manosphere, at least whenever they decide to touch this subject. Because the thing about it, these high rates of single motherhood and low rates of marriage amongst black women wasn't always like that. We used to have very low rates of single motherhood. Families used to stick together, mother and father. For better or for worse, the family unit was basically intact. So what happened? And so just off the rip, I would point to two main culprits. And I would say it's a combination of both the sexual revolution, but also, and my main point, government handouts. And so what you have to understand, like, this is the problem with government handouts. With these government handouts, what they basically did was they gave women incentive to not keep the family unit together. And I want to explain this in the best way possible to not put all the blame on women, because it's not just them, of course, but these programs have a big effect on them, because what it does is it removes a lot of responsibility from them. Because now it's like this. You no longer have to be selective about who you have sex with or who you reproduce with. Because regardless of whether it works out or not, the government is going to take care of you. So let's say I'm a woman. Okay. It doesn't matter if I open my legs for this gang banging, drug dealing degenerate who's gonna end up dead or in jail or just straight leaving my ass, because even if that happens, the government is going to take care of me. See, there's a safety net in place to where like women no longer have to be selective about who they have sex with. I mean, to an extent, right? You know, because we're talking about at the lower levels of society. But there's this safety net in place where now there's less incentive to be selective, at least in terms of like selecting for a man that's going to actually be there, that's going to be a father, that's going to be a husband, that's going to provide the protection and provision that you need. That's no longer necessary, because the way it works now is all you need is a baby and you get provided for. You get the low income housing. $50 to $100 a month in rent. That's nothing. You get the food stamps. Man, I know one girl, she got like 5 kids. She get like $1,000. She get over $1,000 in food stamps a month. Now, from what I understand, they used to have like straight up like welfare where they would just give out like outright money. But I think that's very I think that's much more uncommon now. Now they primarily do the low income housing, food stamps thing instead of just give you like straight money. But also tax returns. We all know the tax return season is lit in the hood, because basically what it does is it allows these girls, a lot of times basically they get more money based on the amount of kids they have. So when they file their taxes and they get that tax return, for every dependent or every kid, they get more money back. So now women have all these incentives that like now it's women have an incentive to be single mothers. And that's I believe that is, if not the exact source, very close to the source of why these areas will never, ever be right. Why they would never turn around and go in the right direction. If you do not address that, if you can't get everybody on board to say, okay, we got to stop accepting these government handouts. We got to stand on our own 2 feet, just like the black people who came before us, who started their own businesses and all that, and developed their own communities, some of which were destroyed by the white man. But we ain't gonna go there today. But that's what I'm saying. They weren't waiting for government handouts. They built. They said, look, we gonna have to do it ourselves. And they did it. But now look at us. Something happened. And I'm sitting here. You know that scene in Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Or at least that meme picture of Charlie when he has the newspaper clippings on the wall. He's trying to figure out this conspiracy. Like I've been just looking all these years. I've been observing and trying to connect the dots, and this is I truly believe this is the problem. This is the source. Government handouts lead to single motherhood. Single motherhood leads to kids being raised into criminals and degenerates. Kids being raised into criminals and degenerates leads to drug dealing or drug abuse, gang culture, thought culture, whole culture, all that shit. Thought culture, whole culture goes right back into single motherhood and government handouts. And it's the cycle. It's the cycle. And so what I'm saying is this. Fuck a turkey drive. fuck heck no. If you really want to help the community, you address that. But like what are the chances of I mean, it's so out of control. You have entire neighborhoods dependent on these programs. How are you gonna turn that around? That's the fight. That is the fight. Not giving out more shit, not doing more hand. That's not the fight. The fight is that's where you need to focus your attention. That's where you need to wake people up at and get them to focus in on that. Help them connect the dots to see why they're in the situation that they're in. And see, that's why I don't have any ill will towards my mother, because I know why I'm the way that I am based on the way that she was, based on the way that her, I get it. So I don't, that's why I don't hold a grudge about it, because I put it together. It's a cycle. And one of the main reasons why I embrace MGTOW and virginity is because I don't want to continue that. I don't want to play a role in continuing that cycle. My goal is to break out completely from this and get on the right course. Maybe then we can talk about reproducing and shit. But until then, it's no way in hell. It's no way in hell. But this, government handouts, that's the source. Because all it does is it plays a major role in destroying the family unit, because what it does is it says you don't need a man, you don't need a husband, you don't need a boyfriend, you don't need a father, because you have the government to take care of you. I just want to say something. Like, this kind of it's on topic, but it's just something that somebody told me. But and it's an example of how people try to take advantage of the system, right? So I know a girl who's like loosely connected to the family. I'll say it like that. But she's in the low income apartment area, right? She got a couple kids. Maybe by like two. I think at least like two different dudes. But so she's in a low income apartment area, right? But part of the agreement of living there is that she can't have a man in the house, right? Because that would kind of make it redundant. You got a man in the house working, paying bills. Why the hell you want to leave, right? But she got a man in the house. She has the father of some of her kids living with her, but he's not supposed to be there. But they keep it on the hush hush. But that's just an example of how people try to beat the system too, right? So even in situations where the father might be there, they're still like kind of dragging things down because she's getting these benefits while not really living according to the standard that they want you to. She has a man in the house paying, like helping pay for shit, and that's why they got so much extra disposable income. But that's just one of the little things that I, that's just one of the little hood stories that I've heard while being around the folks. But I'm sorry I had to break the news to y'all. So, but maybe I didn't explain it clearly enough. So I went looking for an article, and I don't want to drag this out too long, but I found an article And this is an older article from the 90s, but it pretty much it pretty much agrees with what I've been saying this whole time. And it's that one of the major sources of the chaos and criminal activity in these neighborhoods goes, you can trace it right back to government handouts. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into this article because it's a very good article. So it says the real root causes of violent crime, the breakdown of marriage, family, and community. So this came out in March 17th, 1995. I'm telling you, it's the destruction of the family unit. And I'm glad that whoever wrote this laid it out like that, because I'm telling you guys, like, it's any community, the strength of any community is going to come down to the strength of its individual parts. The individual parts are supposed to be the family unit. When you destroy that, the community as a whole crumbles, and that's what we're seeing. But let's get right into this shit. Let me see if policymakers. Okay, so it says policymakers at last are coming to recognize the connection between the breakdown of American families and various social problems. The unfolding debate over welfare reform, for instance, has been shaped by the wide acceptance in recent years that children born into single-parent families are much more likely than children of intact families to fall into poverty and welfare dependence themselves in later years. These children, in fact, face a daunting array of problems. While this link between illegitimacy and chronic welfare dependency now is better understood, policymakers also need to appreciate another strong and disturbing pattern evident in scholarly studies. The link between illegitimacy and violent crime, and between the lack of parental attachment and violent crime. Without an understanding of the root causes of criminal behavior, how criminals are formed, members of Congress and state legislators cannot understand why whole sectors of society, I got lost there. Sectors of society, particularly in urban areas, are being torn apart by crime. And without that knowledge, sound policy making is impossible. And so I just want to kind of veer off course just a little bit. You know, looking at this whole COVID-19 conspiracy shit, you know, Rand Paul, the son of Ron Paul, has been one of the major outspoken political guys that's been speaking out against these lockdowns and restrictions and whatnot. But in one of the videos that I was watching of him, he spoke briefly about this, you know, again, welfare, government handouts and whatnot. And he was talking about how, you know, these policies, they look nice on paper, like, oh, we're just trying to help people, but people don't recognize the side effects that result from these different government programs are actually doing more harm than good. And so I just wanted to talk about that because, you know, I look at Rand Paul as being someone who's like one of the few politicians who seems like he has some damn sense. And it's no coincidence that he's someone who also managed to identify the source of this problem. But let's continue. A review of empirical evidence in the professional literature of the social sciences gives policymakers an insight into the root causes of crime. Consider, for instance, over the past 30 years, the rise in violent crime parallels the rise in families abandoned by fathers. High crime neighborhoods are characterized by high concentrations of families abandoned by fathers. Let me say that again. High crime neighborhoods are characterized by high concentrations of families abandoned by fathers. State-by-state analysis by heritage scholars indicates that a 10% increase in the percentage of children living in single-parent homes leads typically to a 17% increase in juvenile crime. The rate of violent teenage crime corresponds with the number of families abandoned by fathers. The type of aggression and hostility demonstrated by a future criminal often is foreshadowed in unusual aggressiveness as early as age 5 or 6. The future criminal tends to be an individual rejected by other children as early as the first grade, who goes on to form his own group of friends, often the future delinquent gang. Now, on the other hand, neighborhoods with a high degree of religious practice are not high crime neighborhoods. Even in high crime inner city neighborhoods, well over 90% of children from safe, stable homes do not become delinquents. By contrast, only 10% of children from unstable homes in these neighborhoods avoid crime. Look at that. So even within a high crime inner city neighborhood, 90% of the children who come from stable homes, which I think it's safe to assume that a 2-parent household, mother and father, do not become delinquents. Criminals capable of sustaining marriage gradually move away from a life of crime after they get married. Now, that's kind of interesting because I know someone who used to be I guess he was gang affiliated, but then he got with his girl, had a couple kids, moved in with her, and more as I see this guy, you see him kind of settling down more and more. Like, he's been shot before and all that shit. But ever since he moved in with his girl, they got a couple kids. You know, they in the low income apartment area, but still they're together. And I'm seeing him transition away from that lifestyle where, you know, he's working a steady job. I think he's a manager at that. Got his car. I mean, he's just like they said. Like, as you start to settle down, you move away from that life of crime. The mother's strong affectionate attachment to her child is the child's best buffer against a life of crime. And, you know, I see a lot of these mothers, they really don't even deserve the title. Like, I mean, because the amount of neglect. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there'll be food on the table. The kids will be housed. But when I say neglect, I mean neglect as far as I'm seeing babies being held by mothers who are like smoking a joint in one hand and holding the baby with the other, or I'm seeing babies with baby bottles full of Kool-Aid, shit like that. They don't help with their homework. They don't teach them nothing of value outside of like some basic common sense street shit, something like that. I mean, the way they talk to them, the yelling, the cussing. I mean, I've seen women cuss they like babies out like they were grown ass hoes in the street. Like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, I've seen shit like that. The father's authority and involvement in raising his children are also a great buffer against a life of crime. And just think about it. A lot of these guys that you see gang banging, selling drugs, in the streets, committing crimes, most of these guys, they don't have a strong father figure in the house, because if they did, that father would have never allowed that to happen in the first place. A lot of times when you see these situations where these guys are in the streets, but they also have a father in their life, their father was also a part of that lifestyle as well. They were also from the streets. Because you will see some guys that gang bang and do all this street shit, and the father might even be in the house with them. But what you'll recognize is that the father was also involved in the gang, and that's why the child got involved in the gang. You see how the shit, again, it's that cycle. So it's not just the cycle that affects women. The cycle can also affect both, can go from father to son in terms of their involvement with various criminal organizations in the neighborhood. Because you can have a father who's in a gang, and then he has a child, and then by virtue of your father being in that gang, you're kind of born into it. You inherit his beef. You inherit the beefs of your brothers and cousins and shit. You're in the same area. You're around these guys. And so it's only natural for you to become a part of that group and to take on to that lifestyle. The scholarly evidence, in short, suggests that at the heart of the explosion of crime in America is the loss of the capacity of fathers and mothers to be responsible in caring for the children they bring into the world. This loss of love and guidance at the intimate levels of marriage and family has broad social consequences for children and for the wider community. The empirical evidence shows that too many young men and women from broken families tend to have a much weaker sense of connection with their neighborhood and are prone to exploit its members to satisfy their unmet needs or desires. This contributes to a loss of a sense of community and to the disintegration of neighborhoods into social chaos and violent crime. If policymakers are to deal with the root causes of crime, therefore they must deal with the rapid rise of illegitimacy. Facts, factual, factamundo. If policymakers are to deal with the root causes of crime, therefore they must deal with the rapid rise of illegitimacy, which is, of course, single motherhood, one-parent households, all that shit. Okay, official Washington's view of crime. The professional literature in criminology is quite at odds with orthodox thinking. I apologize. Thinking in official Washington. Many lawmakers in Congress and in the states assume that the high level of crime in America must have its roots in material conditions, such as poor employment opportunities and a shortage of adequately funded social programs. But members of Congress and other policymakers cannot understand the root causes of crime if they insist on viewing it purely in material terms. This view blinds policymakers to the personal aspects of crime, including moral failure, the refusal to exercise personal responsibility, and the inability or refusal to enter into family and community relationships based on love, respect, and attachment, both to the broader community and to a common code of conduct. The Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, supported by the Clinton administration and enacted last year. I just want to say something. You know, I be watching Alex Jones, conspiracy guy, crazy alien vampires and all, you know, right? But this part stood out to me because the Clintons is always on his hot list. Like that's the Clintons, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Those are two people that he always singles out as being a part of this evil new world order, global government, whole conspiracy thing, right? Like the Clintons. And that's why this part, I had to put this in here because this stood out to me. The fact that, you know, his name popped up. The Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, supported by the Clinton administration and enacted last year, perfectly embodies official Washington's thinking about crime. It provides for billions of dollars in new spending, adding 15 new social programs on top of a welfare system. Has caused I got lost there. Okay. That has cost taxpayers $5 trillion since the war on poverty was declared in 1965. 1965, right around the time the marriage rates in the black community was going down and plummeting, and single motherhood was shooting up. Right there. Dude, you cannot make this shit. Dude, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you cannot. Tell me I'm wrong. The war on poverty, 1965. That's right around the time the family unit in the black community was crumbling. Because when you look at the 70s, what do you think of in terms of black people in the 70s? You think of big afros and dancing and overindulgence, drugs and pimps and, you know, those black exploitation films and Claudine. 1965. And you know what? That's right around the time my mother was born. That's right around the time my mother was born. Right? I'm not 19. I can't get over it because it's crazy. I never heard of this. I never heard of this. The war on poverty, like the war on drugs. And see, this is what they do when they try to destroy. They always paint it with pretty colors. They always hide the evil intentions with good intentions. The war on poverty, the war on drugs. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. But let's keep it moving. There is no reason to suppose the programs will have any significant effect. Since 1965, welfare spending has increased 800% in real terms, while the number of major felonies per capita today is roughly 3 times the rate before 1960. As Senator Phil Gramm, I guess that's referring to Texas, says, if social spending stopped crime, we would be the safest country in the world. There you go. That sounds like somebody who got some damn sense. Senator Joseph Biden. Senator Joseph Biden. You cannot make this stuff up. Oh, God, you cannot make this stuff up. I swear, dude, you listen to Alex Jones and you think he's fucking crazy, but then when you see shit like this, how everything just connects, the Clintons, now Joseph Biden out of nowhere for the assist to fuck shit up. Oh, God, dude, this is crazy. He voted for this nigga. I ain't vote for him, but let's continue. Former chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and a major sponsor of the recent crime bill summed up their predominant view of crime prevention. These social services are all good programs. They are all designed to do the same thing. Give these kids something to say yes to. Look at what they put the kids in the forefront. Think about the kids. We're gonna fuck everything up, but it's for the kids. That's what they always. Dude, what? Dude, we cracked the code. It's right here. I mean, it's too much evidence, right, bruh. I shouldn't even have to continue. I shouldn't even have to continue. In fact, I had more article, like there's more to look. This is a long article, by the way. I didn't read the whole thing. It's long. Look it up, check it out. I'm gonna stop there because I don't want this podcast to go on too long. But I don't even feel like I need to. Like, why would I need to even continue, bro? Why would I even need to continue? Like, I have made my case. If I was a lawyer on trial right now, like, my nigga walking free, he getting acquitted. I made my case. Like, what more do I need to say to y'all, bruh? If y'all don't get it, you never will. It's right there in your face, bruh. It's right there in your face. Man, when I saw Joe Biden pop, I was like, bruh. Bruh. That's when I knew it was over, man. That's when I knew it was over. But just to kind of bring it back, I want to wrap this up. You guys have got to understand and identify what the problem actually is. You know, I know a lot of these guys, they mean well when they try to give back and all that, but I'm just letting you know, if you're not going to attack the problem at the source, things are never going to be better. You're wasting your time. You are wasting your time. Unless you're ready to tackle that, to undo these social programs, and it's so out of control. It's like, how do you do that? You have entire communities of people totally dependent on these. I mean, and look, I'm not trying to talk like, dude, I'm in it too. I had food stamps for like 2 years. I had food stamps. I think my brother still get it, but you know, he's handicapped, so that's one thing. But yeah, like, and my sister get it, her friends get it, my friends have had it. I mean, so I'm not trying to act like I'm separate from it, because we're all a part of this fuckery and we've all been affected by it. But what I'm saying is that don't criticize people for wanting to leave the hood and not keeping it real when you don't even know what the cause of the problem is. And not only that, you wouldn't even be willing to stand up to that. Wait, everybody, stop accepting government handouts. Stop voting for Democrats. Vote. Maybe you don't have to vote Republican, but don't trust Democrats. They're corrupting us from the inside out. You really think that's gonna happen? Bro, it is a lost cause. It is a lost cause. It is a lost cause. Like, look, I'm down to fight, but we have to address the source of the problem. And if we're not gonna do that, don't call me, don't talk to me. You know, I look at someone like Kevin Samuels. Look at how women get so mad because this man tells them, hey, maybe you want to stop opening your legs for criminals and game and thugs and blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. I mean, look at all the shit that he gets for giving women. Again, I'm not trying to make this just women bad, but it's a perfect example of why it's a lost cause. You can't even tell people, hey, it's a bad idea to reproduce with criminals and gangbangers and drug dealers. They go nuts. They want to cancel you and shame you for saying, like, when that's something where people want to shame you over and cancel you for, what hope is there? Joe Biden has a whole history of low-key racism and bad policy. But just because CNN say, oh, Donald Trump is racist, and look, Joe Biden got a black female running mate, we fall for it like the dumbasses we are. Hook, line, and sinker again. And that's why you need to escape from the hood at all costs. It is a lost cause. It is a lost cause. But I would love to see the day when the Young Dolphs of the world, because I say this with all due respect, because I know he had good intentions, but I would love to see the day when men like him, instead of doing turkey drives, they identify what I just laid out for you guys and say, no, we need to look at this. We need to stop all this gang shit. We need to say fuck all the drug dealing. It don't look, they kick them niggas off the block. Anybody selling dope, selling coke, kick them off the block. Shoot them niggas. Like, that's what maybe don't take it there, but that's what I want to, like, I want to see that day, because until we see these guys completely denouncing gang culture, drug culture, glorifying drug dealing, pedestalizing these guys, not highlighting the all the fucked up side effects of single parent households and single motherhood. how government handouts have played a major role in destroying the family unit. Until they do that, it's no point. It is no point. You are wasting your breath. You are wasting your time. Leave. Surround yourself with people who have a respect for life, for people who were raised right, who had two. Leave. Look, bruh. Red pill pop quiz. If you in a toxic relationship, what do you do? Do you stay and try to fix it? No. You leave. You leave. You do not tolerate bullshit. The same applies with the environment. You don't stay in a toxic environment and try to fix it, especially when you're not even going to attack the source of the problem. You get the fuck out. You in a toxic relationship, leave the relationship. You in a toxic environment, leave the environment. It's not rocket science. But if you do want to save these communities and turn them around, then you got to know where to attack. You have to know what the source of the problem is. That's all I have. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed that segment. And next, we're going to have the thread of the day, then comments, and then I'm going to get out of here. So stay tuned. Okay, so now we have the thread of the day. So here's a thread that I found on R9K where they were talking about dating apps, or more specifically Tinder. And so I just thought this might be a interesting thread to dive into, because my own experience with dating apps, usually I would like, back when I was interested in them, I would sign up for them just to kind of see like what type of girls were on them, but I already knew that I wasn't up to par to be, trying to sell myself online. So I mostly just did it as a way to just see what was out there. I did make a Tinder for I had one for like 2 weeks. I didn't put a lot of effort into it, but again, I just kind of wanted to see what was out there. And of course, I didn't get any I didn't get any matches or anything like that, because I'm a dusty. But my short experience with it was, and I don't want to use my experience as gospel, because I didn't put a lot of effort into it. I mostly just wanted to see what was the big fuss about and what was out there. There's a lot of fat girls out there, and whenever you see a decent girl up there, it's really much like real life, right? You don't want the fat girls that you could probably fuck, and when you see a decent girl, you automatically know that you don't have a chance. So it's that's why I was up there for 2 weeks. I was like, what's the point of this shit? It's basically real life. But let's get into this thread. So this guy, the OP, says, stop making excuses. Dating apps are a thing. So I think what he's saying is you don't really have an excuse to be single or a virgin, because you can utilize dating apps. So obviously he triggered the boys, and then they replied. So let's get into it. So the first guy says, dating apps are sad. Men only want to fuck. So that might be a female there. It might be a girl who said that, but what do you expect from a dating app? Then the next guy says, I don't really enjoy the people I meet on dating apps. Unsurprisingly, desperation is unattractive. Trying to be interested in someone for dating alone feels so shallow, and I just can't into anyone who does it. I don't really enjoy the people I meet on dating apps. I don't know. I guess it might attract a particular kind of person, but I don't know. I don't know, because I know that a lot of people out there are looking for hookups and stuff, but I figure some people will be more interested in something serious. But I don't know. So this guy says, do not use dating apps if you are ugly and or have no interesting hobbies. The game will be rigged against you. All you have to bank on is personality and a chance to get a girl's attention by saying something interesting when you first meet or charming her with the way you handle yourself. None of this can happen on Tinder, so just go outside and try it. So this is something that you hear a lot as far as dating apps, that it's pretty much just it's like shooting fish in a barrel for Chaz and Tyrones, right? But for ugly guys like us, we pretty much be wasting our time, because and it makes sense though, because the thing is, what dating apps does is that it takes away it takes away the energy that you have. Like, you're not able to utilize your charisma and your personality and your energy. Because I know we always like to talk about looks, money, status, but charisma does matter. Your energy does matter quite a bit as well. And when you use dating apps, you can't use that. You can't take advantage of that. You know, you can use a bit of it if you're texting back and forth, but even then, like, it's totally different, like being in front of someone and feeling them, feeling their aura, their presence, right? It's worlds apart. And it is stacked against you, because it's an environment where looks are paramount, and you don't have that extra something, which would be your personality, your charisma, that could give you the edge that you need to make a girl like you. Dating apps don't work for 80% of men, and I say that as someone who is reasonably attractive and gave that same advice to friends just to see them fail. Just go outside, meet women, they'll appreciate your personality. Now, I don't know about that either, because even with code, because he's talking about going outside and meeting women, maybe he's not necessarily talking about cold approaching, but you know how that is. You're talking about like a 90% failure rate or something like that. So even that isn't much better, but I would definitely say that you do have the advantage of being able to utilize your personality to give you a boost. But why do either or? I think maybe it's better to do both. You know, don't rely on either. You know, have your Tinder, have your plenty of fish and seeking arrangements, but also go outside, socialize. You know, play both fields. I think that's a better strategy. So this guy says, I'd rather be sexually celibate than use a hookup app and contract a venereal disease from some deranged person with a triple-digit body count. Now, that is one of the risks that you might run into when you play this game. But I think that's hookup culture in general, because a lot of people just don't get tested regularly. You know, meeting a girl in real life isn't going to prevent that from happening to you either. And, you know, I know me personally, if I were to become sexually active, I wouldn't have sex with anyone unless we both got tested first. And that's one of the reasons why I'm probably going to die a virgin, because that's too much work. Like, I'm not going to go too far into that, but I know that sounds extreme, but doing anything less than that is foolish. And also, he said, deranged person with a triple-digit body count. So the assumption that she's on a dating app, so she must have a high body count. I mean, I guess that's possible, but it's not going to be everyone. But me, nowadays, I think it's pretty safe to assume that most decent-looking girls that you meet that are around the age of 20, they probably got at least about 10 bodies by now. Now, triple-digit, come on, that's porn star level, but or prostitute level rather, because porn industry actually only has like a handful of guys fucking all the girls. But those like escort prostitute numbers. But I know some average girls get down like that too, so you'd be surprised. So this guy says, been using apps for 4 years, no dates, no fucks, less than 60 matches, and most were bots. I'm 29 KHV, please kill me. And then the guy responds, only took me a week to find out that I wasn't gonna make it. Dude, just make a Chad fish and become black pilled to how fast Chad would get matches. I literally made a Chad fish within 2 minutes. Women were talking. And what disgusted me the most was it was some bottom tier women that would try to talk to Chad, and they would fuck Chad. I know a lot of guys like to say that these ugly fat women going after Chads is unreasonable, but a lot of these dudes, bro, and especially like I hate to throw my own race under the bus, but dude, like, you know how it is. You see these like ripped, muscular black men with like fat white women and shit, and shit like that, and I don't see a lot of that with white dudes and other races. Like a fat white dude is usually gonna have like a fat girlfriend, fat white. But a fit white dude, like I don't see that a lot. Like fit white dude, fat woman, I don't see that a lot. But you see some shredded Black Panther type niggas that be like buff and low body fat percentage and even handsome and well groomed, and they'll be with some big old bitches. But you know, for a lot of guys, it's actually a fetish. But the first guy here, man, been using apps for 4 years, no dates, no fucks. I mean, not very encouraging. And look, man, just full disclosure, when I do this, because you know, I take a big thread that might have 100, 200, 300 replies, and I take the ones that are interesting to me. But I try to have a balance. Like, I don't want to get only the replies that support my way of thinking or something like that. I try to get a balance where you get like both sides of the argument. Like, okay, this is why you should use dating apps, and this is why you shouldn't. These are my bad experiences. These are my good. Like, I try to have a balance, but it was hard to find like good posts in this thread too. But let's keep it going. So this guy says, and I believe he's replying to someone, because men are tired of getting their time wasted. Every guy that is interested in fucking right away has experience investing tons of emotion and time into a girl he liked only to learn she's fucking another guy who she claims is a piece of shit. Bad guys get the pussy, so expect more men to be bad guys. Think about how casually women will explain away flings. Sex is no big deal. Well, if it's no big deal, then fuck the guy to show you're fuck the guy to show you're interested. Be Chad and get that pussy on the first meetup, or you stand zero chance of anything happening. I think that's too extreme. That last part, be Chad and get that pussy on the first meetup. Or nah, because I think it's definitely true that you know, girls are gonna make things easier for the guys that they're more attracted to. Just like what Rollo Tomasi would say, girls break rules for the Chads. No, girls break rules for alphas and make rules for betas. That's pretty true. But at the same time, like, just because you wouldn't be classified as a Chad or an alpha doesn't mean that there's no chance of anything happening. It's just you might have to work harder for it and it'll take longer. But you know, who wants to do that? But I like what he said in the beginning there. Every guy that is interested in fucking right away has experience investing tons of emotion and time. In fact, I think he was replying to a girl who was complaining about. Yeah. Wait a minute. Was it that girl from the beginning that said guys only want to fuck? It might have been her, but I think he was replying to her. But that's why he said, every guy that is interested in fucking right away has experience investing tons of emotion and time into a girl he liked only to learn she's fucking another guy who she claims is a piece of shit. And so this is part of why we see this war of the sexes right now. This lack of trust between men and women, because guys are so often finding out that when they try to be the good man, the good boyfriend, and open up to a woman, trust a woman, and invest in her, it doesn't work out for them. You know, they do all, again, just like he said, investing all this emotion and time into a girl, and then she cheats on you, or she leaves you for like some fucking criminal degenerate or something. And it fucks your whole worldview up. And it's like, how am I supposed to do that again? How am I supposed to give myself fully like that again? When, because the result of that can be so devastating for your mental health, your physical health, spiritual, all that shit. And so that's why you see these guys just outright not having trust in women anymore, and just saying, you know what, I'm either gonna not deal with it, or I'm gonna be the asshole. And so this guy says, yep, give up a long time ago. They only want sex, and I want to give it to the one. No, oh, that's a girl. Okay, that's a girl right there. And then ignore the guy in the middle. And then a guy replies to her, are you in decent shape? Decent looks, got a job? If you were a man, you would be called an incel faggot. Just quit being stupid and find a decent guy. Guaranteed there are quite a number left. You just have to actually put in a little work. Don't worry, it's a fraction of what men have to do, and you'll still be the decider in the end. If you can't find anyone, it's usually because you are a nutcase and you won't admit it. So I think that first person was a girl complaining about not being able to find a guy, and this guy kind of gave her some tough love there. But I think he's right as far as I think, at least as far as like, I think girls are gonna have to start putting in more effort, because so many guys are either going their own way, going red pill, black pill, purple pill, yellow pill, you know, doing something like that. And if a girl really wants to get with a good guy, I think girls are going to have to start putting in more effort, because a lot of guys are either opting out or they're changing their approach to kind of be more like the asshole, the alpha male, and they're not thinking about, okay, I'm going to invest. I'm gonna just do my thing and keep moving. I'm not gonna, you know, it's not, she's not mine. It's my turn. Like, a lot of guys are thinking like that now. And so I think as a girl, man, you might have to put in like more effort to find a good guy. If you really are about that life, you know, that I want one guy, I want stability and marriage and all that, you might have to, you know, step up and really put effort into finding that, you know, because I think more and more guys are going to just so damn like disillusioned with this shit. So this guy says he was responding to multiple people. He says, what you don't understand is lots of women will say they won't date a short guy, and a lot of them would be immediately turned off by it. But if you don't tell the girl you're short and she enjoys your company over text, especially over video call, they're not going to stop talking to you because of it. You can throw all the random grabs at me you want. I'm short and I pull, so I don't know what to tell you. So now you see guys say stuff like that. I'm short, but I'm fat, but I'm broke, but and I'm not even going to go there, because that's that whole forest from the trees argument. I'm going to focus on the positive here, because I was really looking for somebody to say something at least somewhat positive like this. And I think there is some truth to what he's saying, though. As far as, you know, girls having like this list of requirements that a guy has to meet, a list of preferences. Sometimes you can work your way around that, because a girl could just fucking like you, even though you're not perfect. You don't have everything that she would necessarily want out of a guy. You know, having spending time with someone and experiencing their energy can just make you just straight up like them. Of course, there is still a bare minimum of attraction you have to hit. I'm not saying like, okay, short, ugly, fat dude, just give her your personality and it's gonna work out. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying it more like, just like he said, all right, maybe you're not as tall as she preferred. You don't have everything that she would necessarily want out of a guy. You know, spending time with someone and experiencing their energy can just make you just straight up like them. Of course, there is still a bare minimum of attraction you have to hit. I'm not saying like, okay, short, ugly, fat dude, just give her your personality and it's gonna work out. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying it more like, just like he said, all right, maybe you're not as tall as she prefers, but you got pretty much everything else. You got a nice face, you're in good shape, you got a job, a car, your own place. Or maybe you don't have the job, car in place, you're broke, but you're tall and handsome and you got big dick thug nigga sex energy, you know. Shit like that. You don't have to be the full package. And I think that's basically what he's saying, and I can agree with that. It can work out for you even if you don't have all the traits that she would necessarily be attracted to. And then he goes on to say, I don't know exactly. I say I'm like a 6'10", and I'm good at art. So I try to go for girls that are a bit out of my league, like 7s and 8s that suck at art. So they are impressed by my drawings. And obviously I get girls that are way below at 8 hitting me up sometimes. I get a lot of fat lesbian goth girls messaging me, but most of them repulse me. I feel like to get girls as an average looking guy on a dating app, you have to pick a thing and go all out on it. Like if you're good at art, make your profile all about art. If you're interested in gaming, make your profile about that. You're not going to get thousands of matches, but you will get some legitimately attractive girls interested in you. You have to put yourself out there in a way probably too embarrassing for most people on this board. That's my experience at least. So, excuse me. That's some interesting advice though. He's basically saying if you're an average guy trying to use a dating app, you gotta have some sort of gimmick that you run with or a thing. And you know what? That's funny because I forgot where I heard this. Maybe it was a thread or a video or an article, but I remember reading something similar, very similar to this, that was saying it's basically the same shit. That was like, if you want to stand out to girls, one thing that really works is having a gimmick, right? So take me for instance. I tend to keep my rap shit on the low, but what I could do is I could lead with me being a rapper. I'm not famous or nothing, but you know, if I could put a couple videos, like if I put a couple videos out and start shopping it around and telling people about it, that could work out for me because now I have something. I have a gimmick. I have a thing that I can run with. Or you could be, you could say, okay, well, I'm gonna go for like the whole like tatted up thing. Like maybe you into tattoos, then go all the way, get tatted up, get the sleeves, the neck, and start even doing tattoos for money. And that could be something that makes you stand out. Next thing you know, you're tatting a dragon on some girl's butt cheeks. I mean, that's how it is, you know. Or okay, my thing is fitness. So you go to the gym all the time. You're hiking, you're doing climbing, and now you're socializing with more girls. And I guess these examples are more like real life, but I think it can also help online too, as far as like how you market yourself. It'll make you stand out more. Like, okay, I'm online, I'm on Tinder. Look, I'm a tattoo artist, or I'm a rapper. These are links to my videos, or I'm really into fitness. Look at all these pictures of me in the wilderness and shit, fighting bears. I'm playing. But yeah, I mean, some people might look at this and say, okay, blue pill. But I think it's some okay advice here, you know. And then I think it's good to throw some positivity in there. So this guy, he says, now he's describing himself. I'm 5'11", 190 pounds, lean, 31, have been lifting since I was 13, have a clear symmetrical face, have good pictures, have a good career, have a lot of cool hobbies, still get next to no matches. And then he says, these bitches aren't even wanting top 10% dudes anymore. It's like top 1% now. I've seen how many female friends swipe and talk to ex-girlfriends about how they swipe. The standard for even below average girls are so unachievable. I got tongue tied. I got lip tied there, really. So unachievable that it's pointless to even try anymore. My female friends said if they saw my profile and didn't know who I was, they wouldn't date me because I'm too big and because they didn't like that my shoes didn't match my jeans. My ex-girlfriends have said dumb shit like they don't normally date guys who have weird hobbies. My weird hobby is playing piano and guitar. This shit is ridiculous. You know what stands out to me about this post? And this is some real stuff right here. This is real right here, man. And because they didn't like that my shoes didn't match my jeans. You know, girls really be thinking like that. That like they will nitpick down to that level of detail. But what that goes to show is just how many options that they have. That they can just sit there and be like, oh well, dude, do you know? Do you realize how crazy that is when you compare that to how guys are? Have you ever heard a guy say some shit like that? Well, all right. Like, just imagine a bad bitch, bad bitch, and a guy looking at her and being like, you know what? Her shoes don't match her jeans. I'm gonna have to pass. Like, to us, that would be ludicrous. We would think he was out of his mind. Like, what? Give it to me. But that's how many options girls have. Like, they got it like that to where they can just say, oh, well, his shoes didn't match his jeans. I'll pass. Just crazy shit, bro. I gotta move on for this one. Okay, now, this is the last one. Why would I bother with a dating app when women have never shown me any interest outside of them? Why would I expect any different results? Especially when dating apps are full of disingenuous pieces of shit exaggerating their height, age, etc., photoshopping their photos and searching desperately for any woman to take notice. Worthless goods don't sell when surrounded by other ones. I am a KHHB wizard simply by not ever approaching a woman. Holla. If I had any value whatsoever or attractiveness to women, something would have happened by chance long ago. The fact it hasn't is indicative of my lack of worth in their eye. Wasting my time on an app is just the same as pissing into the wind at this point. I hate to end it on such a pessimistic note, but I don't want to be here too long. But damn, that's sad. But you know, I see some of myself in this post though. You know, why would I bother with a dating app when women have never showed any interest in me outside of them? You know, it's like, that's pretty much how I feel. Like, you know, it's definitely a curiosity, but more than likely it would just be more of the same. And like he said, I'm a KHHB wizard simply by not ever approaching a woman, and you know, I don't do that shit either. But I think here's the point. If I had any value whatsoever or attractiveness to women, something would have happened by chance long ago. And you know, maybe I'm crazy, but I felt like this. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I know, yes, I never put any effort into getting a girlfriend. I don't try. I don't give a fuck. Right? It's cool. But I'm still just observing the situation. And I'm observing And I can't help but agree with this guy. Like if I had any value or like okay, ignoring gorillas, I know where my value is, but for me that don't count. For me that don't count. Gorillas are not an option. So going above gorillas, if I had any value on that level at all, yeah, I would think that something by chance would have happened long ago. You know, the fact that it hasn't is indicative of my lack of worth in there. I think, it sounds kind of depressing, but damn, it's like, how can you argue against it? I mean, even without approaching, even without that, like, damn, dude, you make it to like 30 and nothing hasn't just happened by chance yet. I mean, that's just, it's gotta be you to, I mean, look, at the very least, I think it's safe to say that you're definitely not a Chad or even a Brad or none of that. Like, you are completely expendable to decent looking women. You are completely expendable. Like, you're pretty much nothing, a afterthought at best. I don't want to stick too close on this subject. I know I can get pretty I can get pretty pessimistic here, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the comments. So you guys stay tuned and stay cool. Audio playlist into audio clip. Audio playlist into audio clip. Okay, so is that time of the day again? Is that time of the day again? Let me try that again. So it's time. One more time. So it's that time of the day again, where I do the comments. So let's get right into it. So Lewis says on the Risky Mosaic beat, are you still a NEET? Also, I'm never touching Discord. No, I'm not a NEET. I told you guys I got me a cleaning job where I work 3 hours, roughly 3 hours, 5 days a week. I love my job mainly because it doesn't take up all my day. I'm making some decent money and I still have more than enough free time to work on my self-improvement as far as working out, reading, meditating, working on my music projects, watching anime, playing video games, looking at porn. Life still basically feels the same. It's just that I spend about 3 hours cleaning up somewhere 5 days a week while listening to Alex Jones' podcast. Okay. So Flim says, night walk through cold air fields on the Risky Mosaic beat. You know, I was going for something more sexy, but I appreciate that night walk through cold air fields. So Moth says on chat, on the Jet song. Oh, I've been listening to your music for years. I forgot about that song. That was on the Blow mixtape. Oh wow, god damn it. Jet. What was that? I'm higher than a jet. Jet, flying in the air, flying. I think that's what it was. So. Tactical Apathy says on the Mitsu Domoe anime review, you would unironically have more views and discussions on Odyssey. Half of us are lightweight shadow banned just for talking to you. You know what? I'm gonna go over to Odyssey. That's my next goal. I saw this comment and I wrote it on my whiteboard. It says check out Odyssey. So I'm gonna make sure I do that because I've been looking into uploading my stuff to different streaming platforms because YouTube, they'll get rid of you. They get rid of you like that. So I want to have some backup like BitChute, but I'm gonna check out Odyssey. I'm gonna see what's up over there. So I appreciate that comment. So Rap Shout says on the Mitsudomoe anime review, after that cat story, I'm thinking I want to watch this anime. Dude, I swear, bro. That shit was funny as hell to me, bro. That shit, it was so dumb. It was so dumb. That shit just had me bugging, bro. That shit just had me bugging because the dad didn't want the cat, but Futaba was able to convince him to get the cat by saying that the cat said that she wanted to come there. And obviously the cat didn't say that. It's a damn cat, but the dad went along with it. It's funny because it's dumb, but it's adorable too because obviously the dad knows that the cat couldn't have said that, but he's being nice because he knows that his daughters really want the cat. I mean, it's both funny but also just cute and adorable. Hiki-san said on the Don't Care Anymore beat, don't know if you need to hear this, but I love your music, Chad, and you're helping a lot of people get through tough times. Love you, bro! Nah, I really didn't need to hear that. I was worried that somebody might see that title and think that I was depressed. Then on top of that, it was the beat that I was working on when Fender died, and I put that in the description. But I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. I feel relatively back to normal ever since the tragedy of the death of my best friend, Fender. But yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great. So Harvey says on the MGTOW Botcast, episode 24, one thing on sex intoxication is that it's one of the biggest legal myths people still believe. It was propaganda created in the 90s that if the girl is drunk, is rape. They had public service announcements and everything, but the thing is, it was never legally true. It was just a moral standard. You can have sex with a girl that's drunk as long as you get a yes. Anytime it's brought up to the police, they never press charges over simple drunkenness. It was propaganda used to scare frat boys that some people think is real law, like my dumb ass. It's only illegal if they are passed out, and even then they would have to prove that in court. I'm going to look that up because that has been kind of like a boogeyman thing that I always heard about. Like, if the girl is drunk, she can say you raped her, but if the man is drunk, then that's my AMS impression where he tries to imitate dumb niggas. Nah, I fucked it up. Okay, but I'm gonna look that up. That's definitely interesting though. It was propaganda used to scare frat boys. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Thanks for that comment, Harvey. So on the Incels Are Too Logical video, John Millius says, women have ignored and rejected me my whole damn life. They'd all just step over me if I was lying dead in the street to get to Chad. And that's true. I'm telling you, man, big dick thug nigga sex, nothing is more important to women. Black Star ENT says, yes, kick logic out when it comes to women. They don't play by logic. Sometimes you gotta be illogical. Sometimes you have to be illogical. That's absolutely true. You can't be too, I mean, look, you can, but if you want to be successful, I think you gotta go, you gotta have a little bit of that comedy. You gotta kick logic out, and you gotta just go for it sometimes if it's that important to you. And so Jack Mack says on the same video, I am just too smart to get a girlfriend. Look, I saw that and I posted it on my Twitter because I was like, dude, that's just funny. I'm too smart to get a girlfriend. So on the Don't Care Anymore beat, Satori Blue says, also watch a movie called All About Lily Choo Choo. I feel like you might enjoy it for some reason. I got it written down in my checkout notes. I'm sure I'll address that soon. And then he says, your music really is special, Chad. It invokes something I can't describe. If I had to choose a word to describe it, it would be ethereal. Keep it up, buddy. You're going to make it one day. I told you guys, I feel like I already made it. I haven't made it as far as like millions and I'm fucking bitches, but even my personal development aside, which I think is most important as far as making it is concerned, musically, to even be in a position where when I upload music, people give a fuck, not just friends and family, but strangers from all over the world. I mean, look, to me, it's levels to making it. And that might be the lowest level, but damn, that's a fun level to be at. It feels really good knowing that when you make something, at least 100 people are gonna check it out. At the higher end, 500 to 1,000, that's special in of itself. I mean, just imagine, right? Like, if I drop a song, it gets 500 views. Like, that doesn't seem like much on the internet, but if it was real life and I was doing like a show for 500 people, that shit would be lit, yo. Damn, that's why, like, I just look at shit differently. So this was when our good friend Kyle Rittenhouse got acquitted. This was on the Chad Marco FAAFO song. Trucker RS says, walk away, call that impunity. Raj, the man, says, not guilty on all charges. Patrick Bateman says, came back here to enjoy this banger after Cal walked. Yes, my friends, Cal Rittenhouse was acquitted. Congratulations to the young man, the Boy Scout. So Little Moggy says on the MGTOW video, have you ever thought of sharing more underground fan media from other types of artists, like people who draw or take photos, etc.? Definitely. I'm thinking, because I think they have a board on 4chan where people, I forgot the name of it, but there is a board where people share artwork and stuff like that. So I was thinking about dropping in there and taking some of their stuff and like doing like an art expose episode or something, or working in like a different segment, like maybe instead of like the TOD, I could do that or something. But it's so much stuff I can do with the whole concept of original content, and I plan on like incorporating more and more of that into the show as I go along. But thanks for that comment, Lamar. So, Shiri222 says on the Chat Marco Power Suit, honestly, one of your best songs, the bars, the beat, it was S++ tier. It's a good song. I like it. I like the energy of it. I've always been trying to perfect that anime type song. You guys know I love the anime songs, the anime references, but it don't always come out the way I want it to. I feel like Power Suit is one of the examples where it really clicked. Like, I found that right balance of being a fucking nerd and having all these anime references, but also like not going overboard to where like the average listener wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, Power Suit is dope and it's turned as fuck. So he also says on the MGTOW episode of the Botcast, I enjoyed this Botcast episode. I'm pretty much like you. I could get a girlfriend, albeit an extremely ugly one, if I really tried hard enough. But at the end of the day, the effort just isn't worth it. Still trying to figure out how to be happy though. But yeah, that's exactly how I am. I know I could, especially a gorilla. I tell you guys all the time, the gorillas love me. Gay dudes and gorillas, that would be easy. But for my standard, it would have to be at least a decent looking girl who's not toxic and doesn't have too much baggage and whatnot. And the fact is, to get something like that, I would have to put in more effort than I'm willing to put in for that. I don't want it bad enough. And that's really the case for me. I don't want it bad enough. I know I could, even like maybe a decent looking girl, but it would be too much work. Like the second I think about even like working for the pussy, I lose interest. Oh, still trying to figure out how to be happy though. I'm gonna make a video about that too, about very soon or somewhat soon. So Blue Penguin says on Scary Stories, episode 23 of the Botcast, it'd be great if you could make the Scary Stories a recurring segment. I would love that. You should have never told me. I'm definitely doing that now. Especially like with the creepy pastas that are all over the internet now. I could do episodes about that. I got a whole book on. I think it's a whole. Let me see the title of it real quick. I haven't even read it yet. It's a thick. Yeah, it's I got a whole book called Tales of Horror and it's H.P. Lovecraft stories. So I don't know, maybe I could dive in there and share some of that. They got different like scary story books at the Books A Million that I've been thinking about picking up. So yeah, I would love that, especially as a fan of horror. Oh yeah, cause dude, like I said, man, every month is October for me. I love horror movies and shit. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So haha, with a story mark, says on the MGTOW episode of the Botcast, I haven't listened yet, but very much looking forward to it. I am a similar age to you, a bit older, and though I have dated quite a few girls and was previously in a long-term relationship, I now find myself going more and more MGTOW over time, and it's been a revolution within my own brain, and listening to your stuff has only supported all my own personal reflections. And you know, just to pause there for a second, like I feel the same way in a lot of ways. When I look at my journey, you know, because I was having these thoughts as early as like 16, 17. And that's when I was kind of asking myself the question of, you know, do I need to get married? Do I need to get a girlfriend? Do I need to have sex? Because quite frankly, being a virgin never bothered me that much. And so I was like, why should I stress out about something that really isn't causing me any issue? And that's kind of where it started with me. And then I started seeing these other guys, the herbivore males, MGTOW, Red Pill, even PUA, to an extent, RSD Tyler and all those guys, and a lot of the things they were saying were resonating with me. The same way when you listen to what I'm doing, it's that same thing where it's like it's already in your head, but when you hear somebody else connect the dots with you, it really clicks. Then it's to the point now where I really do not try to go out of my way and get girls, especially considering the quality of any girl nowadays that is over age, that's over the age of 25. Yeah, and that's definitely one of the things that discourages me too. And that's not to say like I'm a catch. I know like I have all kinds of deficiencies, right? But the fact is, two wrongs don't make a right. I always say that, bro. Like, just because you might not be shit don't mean that getting with a girl who ain't shit gonna make your life better. You probably better off being by yourself. So I don't want to say that as if, oh, the girls are just so bad and I'm so good. No, because I've been just as much affected negatively by the modern era as they have. You know, I'm still trying to pull my shit together. But the fact is, you know, I've at least managed to carve out a decent life for myself where I'm enjoying life. I'm happy. I got a good baseline. Now, you know, every day ain't perfect, but I got a good baseline that I've been working with for the past couple of years. You know, I'm inching further and further towards, you know, being the type of man that I want to be. Got my first job and shit. You know, I'm doing good with my music and my craft. I'm really enjoying that. And I got my learner's permit. I'm about to learn how to drive and get my first car and shit. So I'm moving steadily forward. And so, you know, I'm feeling good about myself. But whenever I think about the prospect of dating, it's not very encouraging, because just like you said, the quality of any girl nowadays, especially where I'm at, I don't want to make it seem like girls are just so terrible everywhere. But I think part of my problem is really location, you know. And when I look at what's out there, bro, I see a bunch of hoes. I hate to say it, but I see a bunch of hoes, single moms, girls with attitude problems, stuck up girls, and it's like, it seems like at any given time I might see a girl that look decent, and maybe this is my fault, but I instantly just remember that it's very, very likely that she's either a hoe or toxic, and then I lose interest. All right, so he goes on to say, it is crazy that we are different people on the surface, but listening to your prior podcast, especially the Manipulated Man 1 and 2, those were great, how similar our thought process is on this type of thing. There is such a strong biological and social urge to be a certain way, but all my logic tells me to go my own way, and that's what I've been doing for the most part for the last few years. Yeah, and that's pretty much exactly what I've been doing, you know, because I think we all felt that pressure from within and coming from the outside as well. I remember being a kid and guys will make fun of you for being a virgin and shit like that. You won't cool if you won't get bitches. And, at first it got to me, but as I got older, I started to realize that, this actually, this whole being a virgin thing really ain't so bad. Maybe I should run with it. And so I ignored the social pressure. And quite frankly, the biological urge was never that strong within me to begin with. So maybe a bit of it is it goes down to just who I am at my core, like my DNA, my genetics or something might be screwed all up. But I never had a strong urge to have sex anyway. I just, I like girls, they're pretty, but, it ain't that big of a deal. That's how I always felt about it. Then he says, I even reflect on past relationships often and how unhappy they made me. But yet I still found myself wanting to be in another, thinking this time it might be different. But it never is. The whole song and dance of modern relationships is so played out and pitiful. I sometimes find myself thanking God that I never got married or had kids. I swear, man, one of the best decisions I ever made was embracing virginity. That was, when I look back, that was one of the best decisions that I ever made. But you know what? The problem is this, is that people would never appreciate that kind of decision making, because they're going to always say, well, what if you found the one? What if you would have fell in love and then everything would have worked out? Like, what? That's the problem. It's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't, then you wonder what if. But if you do and it goes wrong, you wish that you didn't. I always tell you guys, one of my favorite Red Pill guys is Coach Greg Adams. I love his channel. But one thing he tells you is that before he got married, he already had a lot of these ideas in his head. Like, he already had the inkling that it wasn't a good idea, but he was listening to the people around him. They were telling him how getting married would be good for his career and whatnot. So he didn't listen to his gut. He listened to the people around him, and then it didn't work out. So obviously he looks at it like, damn, I fucked up. But that's what happens when you don't listen to your gut. You don't listen to your gut, and then you fuck up, you're going to feel bad. So my thing is just, I'd rather listen to my gut, because at the end of the day, even if it goes left for me, even if it doesn't work out, I feel better about listening to my own gut than listening to other people. Not to say that you shouldn't take advice from other people, but you still have to take time and effort to be a free thinker and to use your own intuition and discernment at times as well. It can be hard, but my thing, I definitely lean towards trusting my own intuition and wisdom when it comes to things. I try to be open-minded and listen to people, but it's certain things that I'm not gonna budge on. And when it comes to like sex, I truly believe that embracing virginity was one of the best decisions that I made. But it will never be appreciated. It will never be appreciated because people will always just look at what could have been from the good side, instead of the fact that I could have been one of these niggas out here, 2 or 3 kids, paying child support, toxic relationship, shit like that. They're not gonna look at it like that, But something else. Sometimes I think back to those moments where cute girls might have been giving me choosing signals and shit like that, and I didn't act on it. I chose to not believe in myself and shit like that. I think back to moments like that, and I had to catch myself like, it's nothing to regret me not capitalizing on those moments, because the fact is, every step of the way, I trusted my intuition. I trusted my own insight, my wisdom, my gut. And here I am, happier than I ever have been in my life. Here I am with a deep, true appreciation, not just happy, but an appreciation for life with the ups and the downs, so that's why I can't feel bad about my decision to embrace virginity and to disregard sex and women, because the fact is, Again, people would never appreciate it, but when I look at it, everything worked out. I ended up like I'm happier than I have ever been. But you got to recognize it. And then I look at one of my close friends, for example, and not to say that he should have followed the path that I did, but he's someone who like again, me and him like two peas in a pod. But when it came to girls, we took divergent paths in life. And I look at him stressed out, in a toxic relationship, been in all kind of drama, police at the house, like all kind of just crazy toxic relationship shit. And it's like, damn, like I can't help but feel like, I made the better decision by choosing to focus on myself instead of trying to be a ladies' man like he did. All love to the bro, but damn, dude, you fucked up. And yeah. What did I say at the end of the that segment? Long live MGTOW. And if I didn't make it clear, like I said, man, I know it's not a perfect movement. You got assholes and misogynists in there, but I fully support MGTOW as far as just I think that it's okay for men and even women to say, you know what if it's okay to be single? What if that's it? Like, what's so wrong with that? Why can't it work out for some people? It might literally just be the better option for some people. And so that's why I support that shit. And so the last comment is from Flim. He says on the MGTOW episode of the Botcast, thank you for your... Oh, my bad. Oh, shit. My damn lanyard. Okay. Thank you for your feedback. I honestly knew it wasn't that good, but I'm glad that you think I have the capacity to improve. Just listen to some of my old songs. Listen to Blowed and then listen to my songs now. Like, come on, dude. Like, I was awful. But even within those bad songs, I always could pick out the good. And then that's what kept me motivated. When I go again, I'll try to put more energy into it. I don't know a whole lot about audio production, but next time around, I'll try to edit the different parts of track to be more distinctive. I tried to do it a little bit. If you listen closely, the first set of bars in each verse don't have as much reverb. Alas, it's really not distinct enough, however. It's not. Go back to the drawing board. But you know what? I'm going to do another episode of The Process very soon, and it's going to be covering me editing some vocals. I'm not going to go like crazy in depth. I'm going to give you guys a general idea of some of the tricks and a bit of the tricks of the trade that I employ in my craft. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. It's a nice, long, big, juicy, big dick thug nigga episode. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the next episode. I really ain't thought that far ahead yet, but I'm sure it's going to be something awesome. Just make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you share it, pass it around to anyone that you think might be interested in this content. And I'm glad you guys decided to spend your valuable time with yours truly. I truly appreciate it. And that means that, oh, look at the time. It's time for me to go. Johnny, I always fucking shit. Johnny.